Chapter 676. However, this ferocious roar only lasted for a short while before disappearing. Lu Kuan's mutated arm also gradually returned to its original state after hammering the ground 3 times. The long black hair on the skin quickly shrunk and disappeared, as if it had never existed. After another quarter of an hour or so, the red light in Lu Kuan's eyes gradually dissipated, and a look of shock appeared on his face. How can this be? The arm actually grew hair, and it's black. It's exactly the same as the demonic ape priest corpse described to me. Lu Kuan couldn't help but mutter to himself. He lowered his head to look at his fist, recalling the power of the 3 strikes just now. Although I don't have the magic power of a core formation cultivator, my strength has increased by 50%. However, the magic power in my body is limited. Even the blood magic power of a peak foundation establishment cultivator can only support 3 strikes. He slightly knitted his brows. Fortunately, it's only the power of 3 strikes. Only then did the ferocious intent of the demonic ape's arm slowly recede. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to control my body so quickly. After activating the arm divine ability, although Lu Kuan's spirit was hidden, the ferocious intent was able to make his body instinctively attack, making this ability completely uncontrollable. However, the mutation of the arm divine ability suddenly made Lu Kuan understand something. The intent in my body has a certain connection with the arm. Back then, I was able to transform into a demonic ape because the true devil pool water entered my body, causing the bloodline of my giant arm ape to mutate. Now, with the magic power cultivated by the blood magic and my blood essence, I can naturally mutate as well. However, I didn't transform into a demonic ape. Instead, I transformed my arm into a demonic ape's arm. The more Lu Kuan thought about it, the more likely it was. His eyes also shone. Right now, I don't have enough blood essence and magic power. If I were at my peak, wouldn't I be able to transform into a demonic ape and double my strength? After a short while, Lu Kuan had a headache again. But the ferocious intent in the depths of my bones must be dealt with first. At this moment, the magic power in his blood had almost completely disappeared. At the same time, a part of his blood essence was also somewhat damaged. Damaged blood essence, maybe I can do that? Lu Kuan's eyes lit up as he thought of an idea. However, he didn't act on it immediately. Instead, he patted his bag of holding. Spiritual light flashed in his hand, and a strange magic treasure that was several feet long appeared. At the top of the magic treasure was a slender machete that exuded a sharp aura. In the middle of the machete was a metal handle. To put it simply, this was the hoe used by the mortals in the secular world for mining. It was called a mining hoe for short. This hoe was made by Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu when they were at Monster Spirit Island some time ago. It was mixed with top-notch metal attribute materials and engraved with several miniature arrays to increase its sharpness. Lu Kuan already knew that the ground of this devil's den was extremely sturdy. Even though he had activated his connecting arms divine ability, the force of 150,000 kilograms was only enough to create a small hole in the ground. In a situation where he couldn't use his connecting arms divine ability, he had to use a sharp weapon. Thus, he spent a lot of time refining this unique magic treasure. With a chi sound, Lu Kuan waved the hoe magic treasure with both hands. With the help of his great strength and the magic treasure's characteristics, the hoe's sharp blade cut into the hard demon stone. Then, using the hoe's handle as leverage, he dug out a medium-sized demon stone. It really works. Then, Lu Kuan used his strength to dig out the demon stones on the ground while activating his cultivation method. In this cave filled with dense demonic energy, he recovered the demonic power in his blood. This ground should have been ordinary stone. However, under the influence of the true demon pool's dense demonic energy for who knows how many tens of thousands of years, it had been subtly influenced by the demonic energy. After absorbing a large amount of demonic energy, it evolved into this demon stone ground. However, a few feet below the ground was a layer of yellow and white mysterious restriction. But even if it was only a few feet deep, there were enough demon stones. Lu Kuan wasn't greedy. He spent 2 days digging the deepest part of the ground to a depth of 1 foot. Of course, he didn't do anything near the true demon pool and the remains of the corpse. Lu Kuan was afraid that after he finished digging, it would have some kind of effect on the true demon pool in the middle. He didn't dare to take the risk of facing this strange demon pool that was filled with violent thoughts. Even so, Lu Kuan still obtained fist-sized demon stones. There were more than 20,000 of them, which was enough for him to use for cultivation. It should be known that the blood demon only rewarded him with 20 of these demon stones. After completely filling a storage bag, Lu Kuan put away the hoe with satisfaction. He glanced at the demon pool, slowly walked to the entrance of the cave, and sat down cross-legged. Next, he would use the dense demonic energy here to try to break through the bottleneck of his blood demonic power. During these 2 days of digging devil stones, Lu Kuan's blood magic power had also recovered to its peak, reaching the level of the Great Circle of Foundation establishment. After closing his eyes, he continued to cultivate the blood magic power wholeheartedly according to the previous cultivation method. The demonic energy here was extremely dense, even denser than the blood demon cave of the blood refining sect. Cultivating here was much more effective than holding demon stones. After another day and night, Lu Kuan slowly opened his eyes. He sighed and said, "I didn't expect that in an environment rich in demonic energy, my blood demonic power still couldn't make a breakthrough." He murmured, "It seems that I have to use the method I thought of 2 days ago." Then he closed his eyes again and began to circulate the blood in his body. 2 days ago, after Lu Kuan activated the mutated divine ability, the dense blood essence in his blood was naturally lost. This blood essence was the crystallization of the true demon will in the depths of his bones and re-entered his blood. Even if this liberated blood essence was lost, his body could be regenerated. This gave Lu Kuan another idea. Originally, he sealed the true demon will in his bones by condensing the blood essence together with the brutal will through the bone crystallization method. Now that the blood essence had returned to his blood, it could also be crystallized with his blood demonic power. He could recrystallize the demonic power of the Great Circle of Foundation establishment and the previously liberated blood essence in the depths of his bones. In this way, his blood would be restored to the state before he cultivated the blood demon art. With his previous experience, and the demonic power in his blood not affecting his mind, Lu Kuan only spent a week to condense the demonic power of the Great Circle of Foundation establishment and the essence in his blood into the depths of his bones. At this moment, his blood had returned to its normal state. The original turbulent power of blood had all disappeared, and the high-density blood that had been transformed also returned to its original state. This step is really smooth. Next, I will recultivate my blood demonic power. With a whisper, Lu Kuan urged the pure demonic power in his muscles and began to circulate the blood demon art, recultivating it. With the circulation of the cultivation method, Lu Kuan consciously crystallized the true demon will in his blood through his bone marrow. The feeling of cultivating blood magic power before returned to his body. The blood demonic power gradually produced, and the brutal will of the true demon will was also reabsorbed by the blood demonic power. Haha, it really works. Chapter 677. In the southeastern region of the western region of the Qi Kingdom, there was a huge boulder that was famous throughout the Qi Kingdom. The boulder was at least 50 kilometers in diameter, and the sides of the boulder were steep cliffs. Without the ability to fly, it was impossible to enter the boulder. This huge boulder was like a round brick that the heavens had smashed onto the ground. On top of this incomparably huge brick stood a huge city shrouded in clouds. This was the famous monolith city of the western region. The boulder city was built on a natural boulder that was rich in demonic chi. It was the gathering place of the demonic cultivators in the western region. Apart from that, it was also the largest free market in the western region. Unlike the Chu and Wei kingdoms, the Qi kingdom was not only vast, but also rich in demonic qi and spirit qi. It was common for demonic cultivators to kill each other, so the strength of the demonic cultivators was stronger than that of the other two kingdoms. There were even nascent soul stage demonic cultivators among the demonic cultivators. Once one reached the nascent soul stage, cultivation was no longer simple. It required a large amount of cultivation resources. There were many times fewer nascent soul stage cultivators than core formation stage cultivators. Even if there was a fight, it was difficult to determine the victor. This made it difficult for nascent soul stage demonic cultivators to kill their peers to obtain resources. Therefore, these nascent soul stage demonic cultivators needed to form their own forces to obtain stable cultivation resources. Of course, these people were unruly and undisciplined. Naturally, they would not form a clan or sect. The northern region, eastern region, and southern region were ruled by the three demonic sects in the Qi kingdom. They were very wary of these nascent soul stage demonic cultivators. They either tried to rope them in or drive them away. This caused many high-level demonic cultivators to enter the chaotic western region. In order to obtain cultivation resources and resist the threat of the demonic sects and clans in the western region, three nascent soul stage demonic cultivators came together and formed an alliance. They built the Boulder City as the base of the Demonic Cultivators Alliance in the western region. These three nascent soul stage demonic cultivators were the three city lords of the Boulder City. It was said that their cultivation levels were astonishing. After many years of cultivation, they had all entered the mid-stage of the nascent soul stage. Furthermore, the three of them complemented each other. When they joined forces, their combat power was even more shocking. No sect or clan in the western region was willing to provoke them. With the top demonic cultivators overseeing the city and the prohibition of fighting within a 50-kilometer radius of the Boulder City, the city gradually became the largest market in the western region. Naturally, the profits from the market would flow into the hands of the three nascent soul cultivators of the Monolith City. Although there was a safe zone in Monolith City, the area between 100 and 200 miles away from it had become the most frequent place for fights to break out. On this day, a rather large airship appeared a few hundred miles away from Monolith City. There were about 7 or 8 people on it, led by a middle-aged man and woman. The man's face was flat and his eyes were bulging. He was very ugly, but his demonic energy was at the level of the late Foundation establishment stage, the highest among the group of cultivators. Beside him was a beautiful young woman. Her chest was majestic, her waist was slender, and her buttocks were round. She was wearing a light black silk robe that completely outlined her impressive figure. The beautiful young woman snuggled up to the ugly man's side, which was quite a visual impact. This beautiful young woman's cultivation was not weak either. She was at the middle stage of the Foundation establishment realm. As for the others, they were all young disciples. Their cultivation was not weak either, and they all emitted demonic energy fluctuations at the early stage of the Foundation establishment realm. A rather handsome young man looked at the ugly man at the front of the airship and said in a flattering tone, "Senior Brother Pooh, I heard that you participated in the auction of Monolith City 50 years ago. Can you tell us about it and broaden our horizons?" The ugly man chuckled. His right hand that was hugging the beautiful young woman's waist fell to her buttocks. He said with a look of enjoyment, "Then I'll broaden your horizons." The many disciples below seemed to have not seen the ugly man's actions. Their eyes were shining as they looked at him with admiration. Speaking of which, the auction of Monolith City has been out of control ever since it was held hundreds of years ago. This place belongs to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, and has nothing to do with the 5 sects and 3 clans. This has dispelled the concerns of many forces. and the 3 city lords of Monolith City are very trustworthy when it comes to the rules of Monolith City. So every 50 years, the large-scale auction attracts many disciples of the demonic sects and clans. The items in the auction are simply dazzling. All kinds of cultivation-aiding pills and miraculous medicines will appear. Foundation establishment pills will also be sold in large quantities. In addition, there are countless demonic cultivation methods and secret techniques. There are also countless top-notch demonic magic tools. There are even Foundation Establishment Realm cultivation furnaces for sale. Any Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator with a bit of wealth will be able to reap a great harvest at the auction. The handsome young man's eyes flashed with hope. He couldn't help but ask, "Senior Brother Pooh, can we also reap some benefits?" The ugly man glanced at him and shook his head. "You brat, how long have you been in the Foundation Establishment Realm? You can only try to get some pills." "Senior Brother Pooh, why didn't our sect's core formation realm seniors come? Is this auction only for Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators?" a young woman with baby fat asked. The ugly man called Senior Brother Pooh looked at the young woman and a perverted smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Junior Sister Jiang, you're ignorant. For such a big event, there will naturally be core formation realm seniors. These seniors have high cultivation levels and won't go with us Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators." The girl with baby fat didn't care about the ugly man's gaze and instead said, "I'm afraid the next time Senior Brother comes, you'll be going to a core formation realm seniors special event. You won't be able to bring Junior Brother and Junior Sister." Seeing the girl with baby fat act like this, the beautiful young woman slightly squinted her big watery eyes. A trace of strangeness flashed across her eyes. The ugly man didn't seem to notice the beautiful young woman's reaction. He patted his chest and said, "Don't worry. If Senior Brother enters the core formation realm, I'll definitely bring Junior Sister along. You have to know that 50 years ago I was brought in by Elder He." The girl with baby fat's eyes lit up and revealed a look of worship. Senior Brother, quickly tell us what treasures are in the core formation realm seniors auction." The ugly man's eyes revealed a look of reminiscence. He said proudly, "There are a lot of things in the core formation realm auction. All kinds of demonic refining materials, precious medicinal herbs, top-notch magic treasures, and top-notch cultivation methods for nascent soul realm cultivators." Magic treasures. Cultivation methods for nascent soul realm cultivators. When the disciples below heard this, they all exclaimed in surprise. The ugly man received such feedback and was very satisfied. He continued, "That's nothing. Other than that, there will also be hundreds and thousands of demon stones. To core formation cultivators, demon stones are no different than dawn that increase their cultivation. Demon stones. Rumor has it that they contain the essence of demonic energy. My God, there are thousands of them." The disciples on the flying boat were all demonic cultivators. Naturally, they all desired these treasures. The ugly man looked at the expressions of the people below and revealed a mysterious smile. In this auction, there will be a final item." Final item? Could it be more valuable than a top-notch magic treasure? Senior Brother, quickly tell us." Many young women couldn't help but coquettishly urge him. "Senior Brother, there's a final item. How come Junior Sister doesn't know?" Even the beautiful young woman beside the man revealed a look of curiosity. Chapter 678. Yuan Jade Pendant? What's that? Is it the legendary psychic magic treasure? Yuan? Could it be related to the Yuan secret realm? The disciples below were all talking at once. The ugly man revealed a longing expression and said, "This is what I heard from my master. This Yuan Jade Pendant is not only the key for core formation cultivators to enter the Yuan secret realm, but it can also catalyze several tokens for Foundation Establishment cultivators." After hearing the ugly man's explanation, the disciples below all quieted down. As one of the 5 great sects of the Western continent, the Rakshasa sect's knowledge wasn't shallow. They had all heard of the Yuan secret realm that would open soon. The key to such a secret realm was in the hands of the top sects in the state of Qi. They didn't expect it to appear in the Monolith City's auction. It was enough to show how powerful the Monolith City was. After a moment of silence, the disciples began to ask the ugly man about the Yuan secret realm. At this time, the group of people's airship was about 200 miles away from the Monolith City. The ugly man's expression immediately became serious, and he said in a deep voice, "Silence, everyone. The area between 100 and 200 miles away from the Monolith City is the most dangerous. There are often demonic cultivators lying in ambush here to kill cultivators who have great gains from the auction. Although the auction hasn't started yet, we can't let our guard down." The other disciples heard this and became cautious. The demonic energy in their bodies began to stir as they secretly locked onto the magic tools in their storage pouches. The ugly man's lips curled up and he said, "Junior brothers, danger and opportunity coexist. Although this place is very dangerous, it may not be where our opportunity lies. I'm sure you all know that 50 years ago, I killed 2 heavily injured disciples of the blood refining sect and handed over the loot to Elder He. That was why I was accepted as a disciple, and my cultivation improved greatly." Many disciples revealed envious expressions when they heard this. Clearly, everyone knew about the ugly man. However, the chubby girl from before hesitated and said, "But senior brother, that's the blood refining sect. What if they seek revenge?" The ugly man disdainfully said, "This is the Western continent, not the Southern continent. Everyone knows that I killed the disciples of the blood refining sect. The blood refining sect is powerful, but I haven't seen them seek revenge." At this moment, the ugly man's words came to a halt, and the flying boat also came to a stop. Everyone saw a demonic light flying over from afar. Its speed was from fast to slow, and it soon arrived behind the flying boat. Such a shocking turn of events made everyone from the killing Rakshasa sect nervous. All of them took out their fiendish Dharma artifacts and extended their divine senses behind them. This streak of light flew out of the flying boat and became dim, then stopped. It was a burly man with a ferocious face. There was blood at the corner of this person's mouth, and the magic power on his body was very unstable. He was half kneeling on a flying magic artifact, and his aura seemed like it would fall to the Foundation establishment stage at any time. "Fellow Taoists, I have encountered a powerful enemy. Please give me a ride. As long as I enter Monolith City, I will definitely reward you handsomely." The ugly man saw that this person's cultivation was 2 small realms lower than his, and with his late Foundation establishment spiritual sense, he indeed found that the other party's mana was unstable and looked like he was seriously injured. His body relaxed. He looked greedily at the big man's storage bag and laughed. "Brat, are you here to give me a storage bag? I won't be polite." Then, he took out a dagger that shone with black light. The big man was terrified and said in a panic, "Fellow Taoist, please wait. I can swear a spiritual sense oath that as long as you send me to Monolith City, in addition to the storage bag in my hand, my senior brother will give you another 100,000 spirit stones and promise not to take revenge on you." Hearing this, the ugly man's eyes flashed with a trace of hesitation. Although this person's magic power was unstable, he could faintly feel that his magic power was very pure. It was difficult to guarantee that the other party would have any means to resist. He rolled his eyes and said, "Then give me the storage bag first." The big man hesitated and said blankly, "My flying magic artifact is not in the storage bag. Can I keep it?" The ugly man sneered and said, "Don't play tricks with me. First, land on our flying boat, put the flying magic artifact into the storage bag, and then give it to me." Then, he waved his hand and signaled for the others to make way. The big man's face was very ugly, as if it affected the injuries in his body. His face became even paler, but under the gaze of the many foundation establishment cultivators, he could only slowly land on the flying boat with a trace of struggle in his eyes. The ugly man impatiently said, "Hurry up, or I'll kill you on the spot." Then, he released the magic power of a late foundation establishment cultivator. The burly man had no choice but to put the small spiritual shuttle-shaped flying magic tool into his storage bag. However, under the activation of the ugly man's magic power, it seemed to have affected his injuries. He spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed on the flying boat. The way he fell on the ground just happened to expose the storage bag at his waist. "Brat, don't pretend. Hand over the 5 storage bags at your waist. Hey, you even have a spirit beast bag. Take them out and obediently swear a spiritual sense oath." Everyone looked at the bulging storage bag at his waist and their eyes shined. They had heard the ugly man talk about it before, but they didn't think that such a thing would come to them. "Brat, if you pretend to be unconscious again, I'll kill you." Although the ugly man said so, he didn't make the slightest move. It was obvious that he killed him and only took the storage bag. If he made the spiritual sense oath, he could get an extra 100,000 spirit stones. It was very difficult for a foundation establishment cultivator to violate a spiritual sense oath. Just as the ugly man was about to cast a spell to grab the storage bag, a tall figure suddenly appeared beside him. An inexplicable sense of danger appeared in his heart. Before he could react, he vaguely saw a small blood-red arrow shoot out, and he lost consciousness. The surrounding people also didn't have time to react. They only saw the head of the late foundation establishment cultivator, whom they respected very much, was smashed by a blood arrow with a strange aura. Then, a turbulent ice aura appeared. Ice attribute talisman? After seeing the tragic death of their senior brother and the appearance of an ice spell, everyone's first reaction was to take out defensive magic tools and talismans. Immediately after, a black halo appeared above the flying boat out of thin air, accompanied by the sound of thunder. Countless black arcs of lightning scattered in all directions, bombarding everyone. Everyone felt a strange power of lightning, combined with the ice spell from before, attacking their defenses, as if it was restraining their magic power. However, although this black lightning was strange, its power was limited when attacking so many people at the same time. It quickly dissipated, revealing a headless corpse on the ground. The storage bag at the corpse's waist had disappeared. At this time, the burly man lying on the ground at the end of the flying boat turned into specks of spiritual light and dissipated in the air. It was obviously a top doppelganger mirage divine ability that confused everyone's spiritual sense. Such a scene stunned everyone. It was obvious that this burly man who appeared inexplicably did it. "He's there." The beautiful young woman's cultivation was the highest among everyone. She spread out her spiritual sense and found that there was a burly man about 100 feet below the flying boat. He was controlling the spirit shuttle to land on the ground. "Senior Sister Meng, should we chase after them?" the handsome man stammered. A trace of satisfaction flashed in the beautiful young woman's eyes. She coldly said, "Chase what? That person's abilities are amazing. His target should be Senior Brother Prue. Besides, if he has companions, wouldn't we be walking into a trap? Hurry up and drive the flying boat. Only when we're within 100 miles of Monolith City will we be truly safe." Chapter 679. In an area 100 miles away from Monolith City, a tall man with a fierce face was leisurely flying on a spirit shuttle. It was Lu Kuan. He was fiddling with 3 storage pouches in his hand with a look of surprise in his eyes. "I didn't expect the Blood Demon Art's magical ability to be so sharp." The Phantom Demon Escape Arts Phantom can easily hide from the spiritual sense of a late Foundation establishment realm expert. Moreover, the flying speed of the main body in a short time is no less than the explosive speed of a physique cultivator on the ground. Lu Kuan had just used a magical ability from the Blood Demon art, and its power was beyond his imagination. The Blood Demon arrow's attack power is not weak. 2 magical abilities were released in succession and directly caught the enemy off guard. At this time, Lu Kuan had been in seclusion for more than a year. During this time, he had completely refined the true demon intent in his bones and completely solved the hidden danger of the brutal intent. At this moment, there was no trace of demonic power in his blood. Similarly, the vitality in his blood was also very thin. Only the demonic power of the early Foundation establishment realm was hidden in his muscles. The Blood Demon art's magical ability secret technique just now was performed by using the demonic power in his muscles. Although the demonic power in his blood had disappeared, in the depths of Lu Kuan's bones, there were countless black crystals where the purple-black crystals of the true demon intent were. These black crystals contained pure demonic power and vigorous vitality. The total amount of demonic power in these black crystals was 4 times that of the Great Circle of Foundation establishment realm. These demonic powers, which were incomparably huge for a Foundation establishment realm cultivator, were restrained by Lu Kuan's vigorous blood essence. Just like the true demon intent before, they were sealed by his blood essence. In more than a year in the Devil's Den, not only did he collect more than 20,000 Devil Stones, but he also smoothly solved the hidden danger in his body. Lu Kuan finally completed his primary purpose of entering the blood refining sect. Although the hidden danger of the true demon intent in his body was solved, Lu Kuan would not leave the blood refining sect for the time being. For Lu Kuan, the blood refining sect was a huge treasure trove. As long as he could obtain enough contribution points, he could exchange them for various cultivation techniques, which would be very helpful for the creation of cultivation techniques. There were also many high-level talisman and alchemy techniques. Sooner or later, he would use his divine sense to conceal his divine ability and betray the sect. If he didn't reap enough benefits, then he would suffer a great loss. Moreover, whether it was the secret territory of Yuan School 10 years later, or the follow-up power technique of the Blood Devil power, or even the mystery of the Blood Cloud flying boat, all of these were of great interest to him. Before Lu Kuan left the blood refining sect, he had accepted many missions to deceive others. Now that the true demon intent had been resolved, he would naturally complete these missions as an excuse. The objective of the mission was to kill Foundation establishment cultivators in the West Continent. These people were either cultivators from the 5 sects and 3 clans or rogue cultivators who were not weak. Therefore, Lu Kuan went straight to the state of Chi's West Province after exiting the Devil's Denver. He had already inquired about the opening time of the Monolith City's auction fair in the West Province, so he was able to make it in time. Since the auction fair was held once every 50 years, the mission targets were likely to appear. After the auction fair, Lu Kuan would have the best opportunity to make his move outside the Monolith City. Lu Kuan's disguise as Zhang Yang was the Blood Devil Master of the Blood Refining sect. Even if there were no core formation cultivators secretly protecting him, after completing the mission, they would certainly do some investigation to understand his strength. Therefore, he would try his best to deal with his enemies using the methods of a Foundation establishment cultivator. He didn't expect that just as he arrived near the Monolith City, he would coincidentally encounter a disciple of the Killing Luo sect. The man surnamed Pu was one of the mission targets and was worth 300 contribution points. Lu Kuan simply tried the Blood Devil power's divine ability. He didn't expect that the effect would be so good, killing the target in an instant. The man surnamed Pu was called Pu Juanxiong. In the past 50 years, he had killed 2 disciples of the Blood Refining sect's Qin clan. Because this person stayed in the sect all year round and didn't leave the sect often, the Qin clan disciples couldn't find a suitable opportunity to kill him. Therefore, he was listed in the sect's mission. Shaking the storage pouch in his hand, Lu Kuan placed it on his waist. He didn't care about the things inside. What was important was the sex token, which could be used to complete the mission. As Lu Kuan flew, the number of cultivators in the sky gradually increased. Because he was within 100 miles of the city, the cultivators kept their distance and didn't collide with each other. The 4 entrances to the monolith city were located at the top of a huge boulder. They were located in the north, south, east, and west directions of the city. The entire city was enveloped by a huge gray restriction. When Lu Kuan arrived at the southern gate, there were already about 10 cultivators entering the city. Most of them were qi condensation cultivators. As for the remaining killing Luo sect disciples, they must have already entered the city. When Lu Kuan ambushed Pu Juanxiong, he used Zhang Yang's appearance. At this moment, he had changed his appearance into an extremely ordinary-looking young man. After handing over 50 spirit stones, Lu Kuan entered the famous monolith city of the state of Qi. After passing through a restriction passage, a dense demonic aura assaulted his senses. On the crisscrossing streets, there was an endless stream of mortals and cultivators. Foundation establishment cultivators were very common, and there were even core formation cultivators who could fly in the air. There was still a week before the auction, but because of the large number of cultivators entering the city, the market square of Monolith City was already very lively. Not everyone would participate in the auction. Many cultivators came to broaden their horizons. Of course, there were also devil cultivators who were waiting for the auction to end to see if they could fish in troubled waters. The Monolith City auction was divided into 2 sections, one for core formation cultivators and the other for foundation establishment cultivators. In addition to meeting the requirements of cultivation, one also needed to show enough spirit stones to participate. Foundation establishment cultivators needed to pay 100,000 spirit stones, which was 1,000 mid-grade spirit stones to enter. As for core formation cultivators, they needed to pay at least 10 times more, which was a total of 10,000 mid-grade spirit stones. Lu Kuan came here not only to complete the blood refining sex mission, but also to participate in the auction for core formation cultivators. Now that the hidden danger in his body had been resolved, he could fully recover his core formation magic power. With his status, there would be no problem in participating in the auction for high-level cultivators. Not long ago, he learned from a disciple of the Killing Rakshasa sect that the Yuan Jade Pendant was the key for core formation cultivators to enter the Yuan secret realm. It was even sold in the auction for core formation cultivators. Therefore, he had to participate in the auction for high-level cultivators. One had to know that he had 2 Yuan Jade Pendants in his storage pouch. Although he didn't dare to use one of them to seal a devil soul, the other one could be used to enter the second layer of the Yuan secret realm. Since there was an auction for the Yuan Jade Pendant, the auctioneer would certainly introduce the usage of this treasure. This was something Lu Kuan couldn't ask about while he was in the blood refining sect. With this decision, he directly found the best cultivator in Monolith City and rented a temporary immortal cave. He planned to restore his core formation magic power first. After spending a lot of spirit stones, Lu Kuan entered a high-level immortal cave that was richer in spiritual qi than demonic qi. Not bad. Although this place is mixed with demonic qi, the spiritual qi is rich. With the help of mid-grade spirit stones, I should be able to restore my core formation magic power soon. Feeling the spiritual energy in the air, Lu Kuan was quite satisfied. So, he set up a few more restrictive spells in the cave. Then, he began to practice all kinds of blood magic techniques, magical powers to consume the magical power in his muscles. After Lu Kuan entered the bone treasure stage, his core formation magic power crystals were all scattered in his bones. Previously, because of the true demon intent, there was no way to absorb spiritual qi and transform it into magic power. However, now that the true demon intent had disappeared, his magic power could continue to be formed. As for the blood magic crystals in the depths of his bones, Lu Kuan didn't have the intention to use them. He let his blood essence seal them in his bones. The bone treasure stage absorbed the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and transformed it into magic power. Although it didn't need to be transported by blood, the flesh inevitably became a path for spiritual chi to pass through. Naturally, the magic power inside couldn't be retained. Chapter 680. Previously, in the Devil Cave, I relied on the rich devil chi and only spent a little more than a year to recultivate my blood devil chi 3 times, completely exhausting the energy of the true devil intent in my body. Lu Kuan recalled the previous cultivation scene and increasingly felt that the energy of the true devil intent was a necessary condition to cultivate the blood demon art. The effect it brought to the blood demon art was far better than any elixir. With the help of the rich true demon intent in his body, his demonic blood art had improved by leaps and bounds. Coupled with his core formation stage life force and the secret technique of condensing blood into crystals, he had cultivated a total of 4 times the devil chi of the perfect foundation establishment stage. Lu Kuan sat in the rented immortal cave and quickly absorbed the spirit chi in the spirit stones. Through his muscles and blood vessels, it slowly entered the lightning seal on his bones, and finally transformed it into core formation stage thunder attribute magic power and stored it in his bones. Devil chi and magic power are fundamentally different, and the conflict between them is very serious. If there is still a rich devil chi in my blood, it will definitely conflict with my newly cultivated magic power. Lu Kuan transformed the spirit chi and felt that there was no change in the magic power crystal in his bones, making his judgment more thorough. He entered the blood refining sect and tried to get the blood demon art. In addition to solving the problem of the true devil intent, he also wanted to speed up the cultivation of the treasure bone stage. After the battle with the demon clan's magical beasts, Lu Kuan discovered that magical power and the lightning-attributed magical power in the bones could mutually annihilate each other, producing destructive power to temper the bones. The conflict between magical power and magical power was even more intense than the cold power. Since the problem of the true devil intent was solved, Lu Kuan naturally put his mind on the cultivation of the treasure bone stage. Previously, the environment of the Devil Cave was not suitable for cultivating magic power, and he also had to rush to Monolith City to participate in the auction, so he did not recover his magic power along the way. Instead, he first condensed the devil chi in his blood into a crystal and placed it in his bone marrow cavity. In this way, Lu Kuan's absorption of spirit chi would not affect the devil chi in his blood. After cultivating the true demonic intent and the blood demonic power, Lu Kuan's blood had undergone tremendous changes. The density of his blood was more than 10 times higher than before, and his blood essence had also become richer. When Lu Kuan had been in the blood condensation realm, his blood's magical energy was at most at the mid-foundation establishment realm. But now his blood could contain 4 times the magical energy of a peak foundation establishment cultivator. The higher the density of the blood, the higher the density of the blood essence. Naturally, the increased mana would be able to crystallize. As long as there is blood essence binding it, the aura of the devil power will not leak out, allowing me to cultivate the magic power of the bone treasure. Following the consumption of the surrounding spiritual energy and the spirit stones in his hand, Lu Kuan's originally dried-up core formation stage spiritual energy gradually emerged. The speed of recovery also became faster and faster. In merely 2 days and 2 nights, the spiritual energy in his body was restored to its original level. There were many differences between the bone treasure stage and the core formation stage of traditional cultivators. If it was an ordinary core formation stage cultivator, their gold core would definitely be damaged if their magic power dried up for such a long time. Even if they recovered, their vitality would be greatly damaged and their cultivation would regress. But the bone treasure stage spiritual energy was only used to temper the body. As long as the strength of the bones themselves did not weaken, then Lu Kuan's cultivation would not regress. There are still 5 days before the auction. I can give it a try and see how much of an effect the destruction of the blood demonic power and the thunder demonic power will have on the bones. Lu Kuan opened his eyes and muttered to himself for a while. Then, he sank his consciousness into the marrow cavity in the depths of his bones. In there were countless black crystals. When his consciousness penetrated them, he could feel an extremely pure devil chi. At this time, the devil chi had already reached the inside of his bones. In the past, when I borrowed corpse priests' cold force, the efficiency was extremely low. The main reason was that the cold force wanted to break through the barrier between the flesh and blood, and then enter the bones. It was greatly weakened. Therefore, the effect of the bone tempering was not good. Now, the blood demonic power in my body has already condensed in my bones and is wrapped in my blood essence. For the time being, there is no conflict between it and my magic power. Thinking of this, Lu Kuan adjusted his qi and blood, withdrew a quarter of the blood essence in his bones, and released a portion of Foundation Establishment Great Circle demonic power. As soon as this demonic power appeared, it was like a drop of water falling into a pot of oil. The thunder demonic power in his bones immediately fluctuated violently, spontaneously rushing towards the demonic power. Almost in an instant, the demonic power and the demonic power quickly intertwined. Lu Kuan's thunder demonic power was at the core formation stage, while his demonic power was only at the foundation establishment stage. In addition, the thunder demonic power was restrained by the thunder demonic power, causing the demonic power to be bombarded and forced to retreat. As the demonic power disappeared, a violent destructive force appeared in Lu Kuan's bones and spread out. This destructive force was filled with a sense of destruction and destruction, vainly trying to tear Lu Kuan's bones to shreds. Lu Kuan felt a long-lost tearing pain in his bones. His body trembled, and while he was drenched in sweat, his heart was filled with the pleasure of being abused. Starting from the cultivation of the Vajra tactics, the cultivation of a body cultivator was accompanied by all kinds of pain, and the physical body also improved in the sublimation of these pains. However, when he entered the bone treasure stage, the nurturing of the bone treasure became very gentle. His demonic power slowly nourished his bones, and he did not feel much pain. This made Lu Kuan very uncomfortable. Years of cultivation had formed a subconscious idea that without pain, the physical body would not improve. So at this time, when the crushing pain came from his bones, Lu Kuan felt very comfortable. A portion of Foundation Establishment Great Circle demonic power completely crushed the demonic power of the core formation stage. Lu Kuan listened to the creaking sound of his bones being tempered by the destructive force, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He directly withdrew all the blood essence in his bone marrow cavity and released all the remaining demonic power crystals. Demonic power 4 times that of Foundation Establishment Great Circle demonic power erupted in his bones, causing the thunder attribute demonic power in his body to surge even more. With Lu Kuan's intentional assistance, it crazily attacked the demonic power. Waves of destructive force were transmitted. This extremely destructive energy not only pressed Lu Kuan's bones until they creaked, but also caused some slight cracks in some places because of this explosive energy. Lu Kuan's face was pale, his lips were white, and his body was trembling slightly. The robe on his body was also soaked in sweat. He did not pay attention to this terrible pain, and used his divine sense to sense the effect of the destructive force. He found that this demonic power 4 times that of Foundation Establishment Great Circle demonic power was just right for his current situation. To destroy so much demonic power, he only needed a small portion of his core formation stage demonic power, and the remaining thunder attribute demonic power was just enough to nourish his injured bones, so that his bones would not collapse all of a sudden. According to this situation, as long as he continued to cultivate like this, the strength of his bones would definitely increase rapidly. Haha, this method is completely feasible. After his divine sense discovered the effect of this destructive force on his bones, Lu Kuan was ecstatic. Since it benefits from the demonic blood technique, then this method will be called the demonic blood bone refining technique. Chapter 681. The layout of Monolith City was similar to that of the Abyssal Island outside the state of Chu. It was divided into an outer city and an inner city. The outer city was a cultivator market, just like the Abyssal Island. The inner city had a greater concentration of demonic qi and spiritual qi than the outer city. All of the inner city residences were occupied by cultivators. Apart from the core area, which belonged to the 3 city lords, all of the residences could be rented. If one wanted to rent a residence in the inner city, not only would they have to pay a large amount of spirit stones, they would also have to join the Vagrant Cultivator Alliance and carry out the Alliance's missions regularly. The outer city was divided into 4 major districts: north, south, east, and west. The auction house occupied the entire western district. It was a huge, circular building with 2 floors. The lower level was extremely large, occupying an area of about 3,000 meters and a height of about 30 meters. It could easily accommodate several thousand cultivators. It was like a large enclosed plaza. In the center was a 20-meter-long platform with a small transportation formation on it. This was the place where Monolith City held its Foundation Establishment auction. At this moment, Foundation Establishment cultivators were continuously entering the auction hall. Gradually, the auction hall was filled with nearly 1,000 Foundation Establishment cultivators. Everyone's faces were somewhat blurry, making it impossible to see their faces clearly. It was clear that today was the day of the Monolith City auction, which was held once every 50 years. Many cultivators from all over the state of Qi had come to see if they could find something good. Of course, there were also many cultivators who took out treasures that they didn't need to sell in order to earn more cultivation resources. As for the upper level of the auction house, it was different from the lower level. It was an open-air rooftop with many tea tables and several partitions separated by screens. At the front of the closed area was a high platform with a small transportation formation engraved on it. At this moment, there were already many people moving about in the open-air area. These people could see through the translucent restrictions around Monolith City. The environment was completely different from the lower level. Within Monolith City, there was a powerful flight restriction. Foundation Establishment cultivators couldn't use flying magic tools to fly. Only core formation cultivators could rely on their magic power to resist the power of the flight restriction. Naturally, only core formation cultivators would be able to easily fly up to the top of the 20-meter-tall auction house. Suddenly, a lavender light approached from the distance and landed outside the entrance to the upper floor of the auction house. The light dissipated, revealing the face of an ordinary young man. It was none other than Lu Kuan, who had just finished his cultivation and rushed here. A few days ago, he had been cultivating in the cave he rented. He had used the blood demon bone refining technique to temper his bones. It had taken him 3 days and 3 nights to completely exhaust his magic power and devil power. Finally, he had hurriedly cultivated his magic power to full before coming here. Not long after Lu Kuan landed at the entrance, a charming young woman leisurely walked over. Her demonic aura wasn't weak. She had completed the Foundation Establishment stage aura. She sensed Lu Kuan's early core formation stage aura and a trace of surprise flashed in her eyes. She slightly bowed and said, "Senior, are you also here to participate in the auction? The auction is about to begin." Lu Kuan impatiently said, "What's the procedure? Hurry up and don't talk nonsense." The young woman didn't mind Lu Kuan's tone and said in a neither haughty nor humble tone, Senior, you need to check the spirit stones for me. As long as you have 1,000,000 low-grade spirit stones, you will meet the entry requirement. You only need to pay a fee of 10,000 spirit stones. Your monolith city really knows how to do business. Just the spirit stones from this auction alone will make you a huge profit. Lu Kuan shook his head as he tossed out a storage pouch. There were more than 20,000 mid-grade spirit stones in the storage pouch, which was equivalent to more than 2,000,000 spirit stones. At the same time, he tossed 100 mid-grade spirit stones to the young woman. The young woman was very nimble. After confirming Lu Kuan's spirit stones, she immediately took out an emerald green formation plate and handed it to Lu Kuan, saying, "Senior, this is the auction house's auction token. Every time an item is auctioned, the item's detailed information will be displayed on it. When Senior wants to bid, you only need to use your magic power or demonic power to inject spirit stones into the formation plate. Moreover, this formation plate is connected to the auction house's great illusory magic formation. It can activate a spirit light to protect your body. As long as your spiritual sense hasn't reached the mid-nascent soul stage, you won't be able to see through the illusory spirit light. At the same time, this illusory spirit light can also withstand a blow from a late-nascent soul stage cultivator, ensuring Senior's safety during the auction." Hearing this, Lu Kuan was quite surprised. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he roughly understood the function of this formation plate. He slightly activated his magic power and was enveloped by a gray spirit light. When the spell was successfully cast, he felt a faint connection from the formation in front of him. However, although this spirit light could isolate vision and spiritual sense, in order to maintain the spirit light, the spiritual power in his body had to be continuously activated. Although this consumption of spiritual power was nothing to a core formation stage cultivator, once the spiritual power fluctuations appeared, his cultivation realm would inevitably be detected. Under the guidance of the charming young woman, Lu Kuan, who was wrapped in spirit light, walked towards the enchantment entrance in front of him. At this moment, a burst of air-breaking sound suddenly came from outside. Lu Kuan raised his eyebrows. His spiritual sense sensed a turbulent demonic power pressure approaching. He saw a pitch-black escape light shoot over and in the blink of an eye, it fell behind Lu Kuan. So it's Senior Ox. Senior has come late this time. After seeing this escape light, the charming young woman's face revealed a look of awe, and she immediately went up to greet him. The escape light dissipated, revealing a burly, dark-skinned, middle-aged man. His body emitted a dense demonic power, which made Lu Kuan's heart tremble. This demonic power had already reached the peak of the late core formation stage, the peak of the core formation stage. "Oh, so it's Madame Ba. I didn't expect Madame to personally receive me outside." The middle-aged man seemed to know this charming young woman, and his words were slightly polite. The charming young woman smiled and said, "Senior Ox, don't make fun of me. The auction is about to begin. Senior should go in first." As she spoke, she took out a similar formation plate and handed it to the middle-aged man. She smiled and said, "Senior's status is definitely not a problem. You only need to pay." The middle-aged man casually threw out a pile of spirit stones and said, "Okay, I've participated in so many auctions. How can I not know the rules? I'm going in." At this time, Lu Kuan also passed through the prohibition and completely entered the auction hall. He immediately saw more than 10 silhouettes sitting around their respective tea tables. At the same time, there were many young foundational cultivators pouring tea nearby. It's the Monolith City's auction after all. There are so many core formation cultivators. Who knows, maybe I can really find something good. Lu Kuan's arrival attracted the attention of many people. Even though there was a layer of illusion, the aura he emitted was not demonic. In this place full of demonic cultivators, it was a bit out of place. Lu Kuan was stared at by so many core formation cultivators. He quietly found an empty tea table and sat down, ignoring everyone's gaze. Not long after he sat down, the core formation cultivator with the surname Nyo also walked in. What was different from the others was that he did not activate the formation plate's protective aura. Instead, he directly revealed his true appearance. Old Nyo, this guy really came. I didn't expect Nyo Sengoku to have reached the peak of the core formation stage. It seems like he's preparing to break through to the original soul stage. Could it be that he's here for the Yuan Jade? Chapter 682. When Lu Kuan saw this, he relaxed his body and adjusted himself to a more comfortable position. Thanks to the timely appearance of the peak core formation cultivator surnamed Nyo, Lu Kuan was able to escape the attention of the crowd. In order to save time, he rushed over without cultivating his muscles after recovering his core formation magic power. Thus, he could only reveal his magic power. This made the devil cultivators who detected his magic power rather than his magic power somewhat curious. It was very rare to see a core formation cultivator who hadn't cultivated magic power in the state of Qi. It was very likely that he was a core formation cultivator from another country. Fortunately, the appearance of the peak core formation cultivator helped Lu Kuan attract most of the attention. In addition, Lu Kuan's cultivation was only at the early core formation stage. He wasn't particularly outstanding here, so everyone ignored him. Lu Kuan picked up the spirit tea on the table and took a sip. His eyes flashed with a faint golden light as he secretly scanned the core formation cultivators present. He discovered that apart from 3 cultivators with magic power, the rest were all core formation devil cultivators. Furthermore, the 3 cultivators with magic power were all at the mid-core formation stage. They were much more powerful than Lu Kuan's magic power. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, a ray of light suddenly appeared on the empty stage in front of them. An old man with rosy skin and white hair appeared on the stage. His magic power fluctuated violently. He was also a peak core formation devil cultivator. I've received City Lord Ba's invitation. I, Wu Yuantong, will be the host of this core formation auction. Does anyone have any objections? The rosy-skinned old man looked at the crowd below the stage and smiled. So it's Master Wu. Master Wu is the #1 tool refiner in Monolith City. We naturally trust him. Master Wu is experienced. I have no objections. The middle-aged man surnamed Nyo, who was also at the peak core formation stage, revealed a satisfied expression when he saw the old man. Lu Kuan curiously looked at the old man on the stage. From the crowd's words, it seemed that this person was one of the top tool refiners in Monolith City. From the flattering tone of the crowd below, it seemed that his tool refinement skills weren't low. Wu Yuantong was not surprised by the reaction of the people below. He changed his tone and said, "Although many of you know the rules, I have to emphasize it again. Other than being able to withstand attacks from original infant stage cultivators, the formless illusory demon array that envelopes this place is also a large-scale illusory demon array. Even if original infant stage cultivators enter it, they would not be able to leave in a short period of time. I don't wish for anyone to make a move during the auction. There are 2 nascent soul stage consecrators from Monolith City guarding the array." Wu Yuantong chuckled when he saw that the people below didn't say anything. He continued, "Everyone's tea table has a groove for the formation plate. As long as everyone inlays the formation plate into the groove, it will form a small teleportation formation that matches the formation plate. After winning the bid, the transaction will be carried out through this small teleportation array. Of course, the illusory spiritual light of the array plate will cover the entire tea table to protect everyone's privacy." After Lu Kuan heard this, he carefully observed the tea table in front of him. He discovered that the tea table itself was made of a top-notch material. There was even a small groove on top of it. He placed the formation plate into the groove, and it lit up with bursts of spiritual light. A complex formation appeared. At the same time, the gray spiritual light of the formation plate enveloped him and the tea table. This spiritual light concealed the sight and spiritual sense of the outside world, but the owner's spiritual sense could still be used. Lu Kuan clicked his tongue in wonder at such an exquisite formation design. In an instant, the entire core formation auction hall flashed with dozens of gray spiritual light. The voice of the middle-aged man surnamed Nyo came from the tea table in the middle. He waved his hand in boredom and said, "All right, Master Wu, let's begin." Wu Yuantong looked in the direction of the middle-aged man and smiled. It seems that Nyo Sengoku can't wait any longer. All right, let the auction officially begin. As he spoke, a round pillar slowly rose in front of Wu Yuantong. There was also a miniature formation on the platform with a diameter of 5 feet. Behind him, a huge white light screen appeared with the words, "Mystical Demonic Saber," on it. Wu Yuantong shot a ray of demonic light at the pillar in front of him. Then, the formation flashed and a long saber surging with demonic chi appeared. His eyes revealed a trace of pride as he said, "This magic treasure is called the Mystical Demonic Saber. It is made of mystical demonic stone and mystical demonic gold. It was refined by me. As long as it is refined, it will become a life treasure. The starting price is 800,000 spirit stones." Lu Kuan used his spiritual sense to examine the formation plate in his hand. The information of the mystical demonic saber also appeared on it. Next to it was the starting price of 800,000 spirit stones. As long as he used his spiritual sense to activate it, he could directly raise the price. There was also a number 28, which was his code name. However, there were more than 60 core formation cultivators here. Clearly, the numbers were random. Next to the numbers, there was a special formation that seemed to be used to transmit messages. I didn't expect the first item to be a life treasure refined by Master Wu himself. An offensive magic treasure. I'll take it. While everyone was talking, all kinds of numbers and bids appeared on the light screen on the stage. Wu Yuantong looked at the light screen and said in a clear voice, "Fellow Taoist number 25 bids 900,000. Fellow Taoist number 30 bids 950,000. Lu Kuan looked at everyone's bids and couldn't help but sigh with emotion at the design of the solid rock auction. This way, everyone could clearly know the situation of the items being auctioned. Moreover, during the auction, no one would know who was bidding. The process of the transaction was also very secretive. This would reduce everyone's scruples to a minimum. Lu Kuan naturally didn't care for the first magic treasure. Soon, the mystical demonic saber was sold for 1,200,000 spirit stones. Wu Yuantong's eyes shone as he looked at the dark golden stone on the pillar and said, "The second item is 1 kilogram of true demonic gold. This kind of top-notch demonic Tao material, if refined into a magic treasure, will increase the power of the demonic Tao by 20%. The starting price is 950,000. The following items were either magic treasures or special demonic Tao materials. There were also many medicinal pills that were helpful for core formation cultivators. These medicinal pills were all sold at high prices. Clearly, medicinal pills that could increase one's cultivation were very popular. In the middle of the auction, there was even the auction of devil stones. However, every batch was 100 fist-sized devil stones. 100 devil stones were sold for around 1,500,000. In other words, each devil stone was sold for close to 15,000. In this solid rock auction, only 10 batches of devil stones were sold. A total of 1,000 devil stones were sold. It was clear how rare devil stones were and how precious they were to core formation cultivators. Lu Kuan was inwardly speechless. One had to know that he had a total of 20,000 devil stones in his storage pouch. If the core formation cultivators were to find out, he would probably be torn to pieces by the greedy demonic Tao cultivators. Just as he was letting his imagination run wild, Wu Yuantong announced a new auction item. A bottle of demonic poison powder, refined by the sacred poison sect. It is colorless, odorless, and highly toxic. In addition to being able to erode the protective aura of a mid-stage core formation cultivator, it can also easily erode the body of a 6th or 7th grade demonic beast. Wu Yuantong looked at the light green jade bottle in front of him with a trace of fear in his eyes. He continued, "This is one of the 3 sacred poisons of the sacred poison sect. I believe everyone has heard of it. The starting price is 2 million spirit stones." Chapter 683. It's actually the poison demon powder of the sacred poison sect. Is this for real? Where did this come from? The sacred poison sect never divulges the 3 great holy poisons. If this terrifying poison is used properly, it's a huge threat to nascent soul cultivators. The demonic cultivators below who had heard about the poison demon powder all revealed looks of surprise and greed. After hearing Wu Yuantong's brief introduction, Lu Kuan immediately opened the formation plate. Due to the preciousness of the poison demon powder, the formation plate's introduction was extremely detailed. After introducing the poison demon powder, one had to mention the sacred poison sect. The sacred poison sect was one of the 5 sects and 3 clans in the west region of the state of Qi. In terms of overall strength, the sacred poison sect only had 2 nascent soul cultivators, which was weaker than the other 4 sections. However, in the entire west region, the sacred poison sect was the most feared by the other sects and clans. This was because the sect's cultivation techniques and refining techniques were all related to poison. The most famous of these were the 3 great holy poisons. According to rumors, a core formation cultivator of the sacred poison sect once relied on the 3 great holy poisons to kill a nascent soul cultivator, shocking the entire cultivation world of the west region. From then on, the 3 great holy poisons slowly spread. The sacred poison sect's cultivators were also feared by everyone in the west region. Fortunately, the sacred poison sect's disciples were few in number and rarely appeared in the cultivation world. The threat they posed to the other sects and clans was limited. It was precisely because the sacred poison sect's members rarely appeared that the 3 great holy poisons were only heard of but never seen. This was why everyone was suspicious. After a short while, no one increased the price. Instead, someone asked, "Master Wu, we've all heard of the poison demon powder, but we've never seen it with our own eyes. How can we determine if this is the real deal?" Wu Yuantong already knew that the people below would have such a reaction. He shook his head and said, "There's absolutely no problem with the origin of this poison demon powder. However, if anyone has any doubts, this old man can verify it." After he finished speaking, he clapped his hands and the jade bottle of poison demon powder slowly floated up. Then, the array on the pillar flashed and a palm-sized yellow turtle covered in talismans appeared. Demonic power surged in Wu Yuantong's hand as he tossed the tortoise onto the high platform. The talisman on the tortoise also disappeared, revealing the tortoise's demonic qi fluctuation. When the turtle sensed the aura of countless core formation cultivators, it was so scared that it retracted its head and limbs into its yellow turtle shell, leaving only a turtle shell the size of a palm. This level 3 Earth Profound tortoise is known for its defensive power. The defensive power of its shell is comparable to that of a level 4 demonic beast. Everyone, please take a look. Then Wu Yuantong covered himself with a layer of thick shield, and a big hand of magic grabbed the earth-black tortoise in midair. Then he placed the jade bottle containing the poisonous demon powder under the tortoise shell. He activated the barrier of the high platform and gently opened the jade bottle. At this moment, the earth-black tortoise suddenly trembled and let out a miserable cry. Then, the seemingly hard tortoise shell began to fester. In just 10 breaths of time, it rotted into a pool of black water and floated in the air. Hiss! Seeing such a scene, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Even Lu Kuan was very moved. He knew the earth-black tortoise was a demonic beast, and its shell could be used as a material for a top magic tool. He didn't expect that it would be eroded by the invisible poisonous gas in just 10 breaths of time. It could be seen that the poisonous demon powder's toxicity was terrible. Wu Yuantong carefully sealed the opening of the jade bottle, then took out another jade bottle and stored the black water that the earth-profound tortoise had turned into. He then shot out a pitch-black devil flame, which burned in the air near the high platform. After about half an hour, he breathed a sigh of relief and dispersed the barrier of the high platform and himself. He then placed the 2 jade bottles on the column in front of him. In the experiment just now, I think everyone's divine sense has seen it clearly and understand the horror of this poison. Although a little poisonous demon powder was consumed, the bidding price remains unchanged. However, the black water of the earth-black tortoise can be given to the bidders. As soon as Wu Yuantong's voice fell, the white light curtain behind him began to flash, and one bid after another appeared on it. 2. 5 million spirit stones. 2. 6 million spirit stones. In just a short while, the price directly soared to 3 million spirit stones, which was 50% higher than the base price. Judging from the toxicity just now, as long as this poison was used properly, it could completely corrode a cultivator's dharma body in an instant. With the reputation of one of the 3 great holy poisons, it could even threaten a nascent soul stage cultivator, so these devil cultivators wanted to get it. Lu Kuan looked at the white light curtain and saw the price approaching 3.5 million spirit stones before it stopped. His eyes revealed a look of determination. At present, among the methods of body cultivators to increase their cultivation speed, poison could be said to be the main line of body refinement, which was similar to the effect of medicinal pills on traditional cultivators. Although he didn't know how to use such a strong poison like the poisonous demon powder, Lu Kuan wasn't willing to give up the opportunity in front of him. He gently tapped the Dharma plate and entered the high price of 3.7 million spirit stones. Lu Kuan had killed many core formation stage cultivators since he entered the bone treasure stage. Although most of them were left to the treasured tool pavilion and the body refining pavilion, he still had more than 20,000 mid-grade spirit stones, not to mention other gains. Fellow Taoist number 28 bids 3.7 million spirit stones. Are there any higher bids? This old man is going to count down. 3. Fellow Taoist number 45 bids 3.8 million spirit stones. Fellow Taoist number 28 seems determined to get it. He directly increased the price to 4 million spirit stones. When Wu Yuantong saw the number 4 million, he revealed a look of anticipation. Although the price had already doubled, in his opinion, it could still increase by a lot. However, the devil cultivators below weren't stupid. When the price reached 4 million spirit stones, no one increased the price. Obviously, this price had already reached the peak of everyone's expectations. Wu Yuantong could only count down. 3, 2, 1. This bottle of poisonous demon powder belongs to fellow Taoist number 28. I'll have to trouble fellow Taoist to directly trade through the transmission array on the tea table. Lu Kuan slightly smiled and tapped the Dharma plate, sending out a paragraph of text. On the high platform, Wu Yuantong's expression slightly changed and he immediately replied through the array on the column. When everyone saw this scene, they understood that the bidders were discussing using other items as collateral. Such a scene had occurred before. After the two sides finished talking, Lu Kuan placed a storage pouch in front of him. A gray light flashed and he disappeared. On the high platform, Wu Yuantong glanced at the storage pouch that had just appeared and revealed a satisfied smile. He then sent the poisonous demon powder and the jade bottle containing the black water over. Under the effect of the array, Lu Kuan obtained the poisonous demon powder, one of the so-called 3 great holy poisons. However, he didn't pay with spirit stones. Instead, he sent 300 devil stones. According to the previous auction price, the 300 devil stones were worth 4.5 million spirit stones. However, the auction house had to collect a portion of the fees and could only deduct 4 million spirit stones. This made Lu Kuan recall that he had spent several hundred devil stones in 2 years in the blood refining sect. It could be said that he was a prodigal son. Alright, next up is the climax of the auction. The following items are all top treasures. Their value is no less than the poisonous demon powder. Wu Yuantong said in a clear voice, drawing everyone's attention back. The first treasure is an offensive spiritual immortal treasure, the extreme Een Trident. Chapter 684. Upon hearing the words, psychic magic treasure, Lu Kuan couldn't help but raise his head to look. He saw a trident emitting a gray spiritual light appear on the high platform. In addition to emitting the unique pressure of a magic treasure, it also had a demonic aura. Wu Yuantong gently stroked the trident and sighed with emotion. Although I am proficient in the art of refining a psychic magic treasure is very difficult. This extreme Een Trident was refined by a nascent soul stage senior. Although it has only one function and requires a mid-core formation stage cultivator to activate it, its attack power is incomparably strong. A mid-core formation stage cultivator can completely resist a late-core formation stage cultivator. The starting price is 3 million spirit stones. Number 39, 3,100,000 spirit stones. Number 8, 3,300,000 spirit stones. Number 57, 3,600,000 spirit stones. As soon as Wu Yuantong's voice fell, the light screen flickered frequently. Lu Kuan's eyes revealed a look of interest. His physical refining divine ability was completely capable of refining simple psychic magic treasures, but he only knew how to use magic power to activate psychic magic treasures. The one in front of him could be said to be a psychic magic treasure activated by magic power. Lu Kuan had no way to refine it without knowing the corresponding magic array. Haha, this treasure suits me. Who dares to compete with me? A bold voice came from a tea table in the middle. It was Nyo Sengoku. At the same time, an extremely high bid appeared on the high platform's light screen. Number 45, 4,500,000 spirit stones. Nyo Sengoku didn't seem to care that his identity had been discovered and shouted without restraint. At this time, everyone knew that number 45 was Nyo Sengoku. Lu Kuan's heart stirred. He understood that the one who would compete with him for the poison demon powder was Nyo Sengoku. However, although Nyo Sengoku exposed his number, it played a big role. The other cultivators who were originally competing for it suddenly stopped bidding, as if they were afraid of Nyo Sengoku. Humph, a mere 4,500,000 spirit stones, and you want to get a psychic magic treasure. Nyo Sengoku, you think too much. A strange voice resounded nearby. It was incomparably ethereal, making it impossible to determine where it came from. At this time, another bid appeared on the high platform's light screen. Number 33, 4,600,000 spirit stones. Nyo Sengoku was silent for a moment, and then he sneered. I was wondering who it was. So it's you, Sissy Wenwenbin. Your green nether phantom sutra, but you can't hide it from me. I'll give you 5 million spirit stones. Try to snatch it again if you have the gut. The voice from before paused, and there was no follow-up. Nyo Sengoku laughed wildly and said, Master Wu, you can count down now. Wu Yuantong revealed a helpless expression. According to his expectations, this psychic magic treasure could sell for at least 6 million spirit stones. He didn't expect that under Nyo Sengoku's threat, no one would compete for it at 5 million spirit stones. In the end, without any suspense, the extreme Een Trident fell into Nyo Sengoku's hands amidst his wild laughter. Wu Yuantong sighed. Although he was also at the peak of the core formation realm, there was still a gap between his combat ability and Nyo Sengoku's. He was somewhat afraid of him and didn't say anything. Next, psychic magic treasure. Then, under Lu Kuan's astonished gaze, Wu Yuantong consecutively auctioned off 2 psychic magic treasures. Both were defensive magic treasures, and they were sold for over 6 million spirit stones. This was a relatively common situation for psychic magic treasures. Apart from the high price, most psychic magic treasures were defensive magic treasures. For core formation cultivators, although psychic magic treasures were powerful, they consumed a lot of magic power and were far less cost-effective than their own magic treasures. Therefore, psychic magic treasures were mostly used at critical moments, and defensive magic treasures were most commonly used. The 4th psychic magic treasure, which is also the last one, is called the Heaven Hammer. As Wu Yuantong spoke, a large and swarthy iron hammer appeared in front of him. However, as soon as the Heaven Hammer appeared on the pillar, it immediately floated up. Clearly, Wu Yuantong was using a technique. However, everyone present were astute core formation cultivators and immediately noticed this detail. Wu Yuantong lightly coughed and said, "This Heaven Hammer was accidentally obtained by a rogue cultivator. It is also a psychic magic treasure and requires demonic power to display its power. When used by a core formation cultivator or above, the Heaven Hammer's power is enough to split open a mountain. It is not inferior to the extreme Een Trident. The starting price is 3 million spirit stones." Although Wu Yuantong described the Heaven Hammer as powerful, the cultivators below didn't raise the price. After a moment of silence, a lazy voice sounded, "Grandmaster Wu, as soon as the Heaven Hammer was teleported out, you used a technique to control it. How do you explain this?" Wu Yuantong dryly laughed and said, "Fellow Taoist, don't be in such a hurry. I haven't finished speaking." He controlled the Heaven Hammer and placed it on the ground below the platform. Boom! A muffled sound rang out, and everyone present felt the ground tremble slightly, as if something heavy had landed on the ground. Wu Yuantong exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and said, "Although this Heaven Hammer is a psychic magic treasure, it has a flaw. It weighs 28,000 kilograms, and its internal design is somewhat strange. Even with my peak core formation stage demonic power and spiritual sense, it's still quite strenuous to operate it. His 28,000 pounds of psychic magic treasure is very difficult to control with one's spiritual sense, let alone use it to attack. Grandmaster Wu, you're too deceptive. If you use this magic treasure, I'm afraid you'll be destroyed by your enemy before you can even attack them. No wonder that rogue cultivator put it up for sale. This psychic magic treasure is completely useless." Wu Yuantong listened to the discussion below and shook his head. He had already guessed this would happen. Before the hammer was auctioned off, it had been tested by a nascent soul stage senior from Monolith City. For some unknown reason, this strange hammer's overall strength was much weaker than other psychic magic treasures after being infused with nascent soul stage magic power. On the contrary, a core formation cultivator's full strength would be slightly stronger. However, a core formation cultivator's magic treasure would consume a lot of his magic treasure and spiritual sense on the Heaven Hammer's nearly 30,000 pounds of weight. Therefore, this psychic magic treasure was considered to be of little value. Monolith City's auction house took it out to try their luck and see if they could sell it. After waiting for a stick of incense's time, there was still no one bidding. Wu Yuantong sighed and was about to count down when the light screen behind him suddenly flashed. Number 28, 3 million spirit stones. Wu Yuantong's face lit up and he hurriedly said, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Congratulations to fellow Taoist number 28 for obtaining a psychic magic treasure at a low price of 3 million spirit stones. Soon, a storage pouch appeared on the pillar. Wu Yuantong hurriedly glanced at it and immediately controlled the Heaven Hammer to teleport it over. Isn't number 28 the guy who won the poison demon powder? I didn't expect to buy such a useless item. TSK, number 28 has quite a lot of value. The people below discussed animatedly, but at the same time, they scanned the place with their spiritual sense and observed the dozens of gray spirit lights. Once the heaven hammer was teleported over, they might be able to find that person based on the vibrations on the ground. However, to their disappointment, the ground didn't vibrate at all. It was as if the other party had used a telekinesis technique to control the heaven hammer the moment it was teleported over. Wu Yuantong coughed heavily to attract everyone's attention. He glanced around and slowly said, "All right, the next item is the last auction item. I'm sure everyone has heard of it." Chapter 685. After hearing Wu Yuantong's words, all the cultivators present quieted down and focused their attention on him. Obviously, the Yuan jade pendant was very attractive to them. Wu Yuantong narrowed his eyes slightly and said, "Everyone should know that the Yuan secret realm will open in 12 years. As long as you have the Yuan jade pendant, you can directly enter the second level. If you are lucky, you may be able to find the purified water of the true devil in the second level of the secret realm. If you get such a treasure, when we peak core formation stage, demonic cultivators advance to the nascent soul stage, not only can it relieve the pain of the core formation stage, but it can also stimulate our consciousness. The combination of the two can increase the probability of a breakthrough." At this point, as long as the demonic cultivators knew the meaning of the pure water of the true devil, they showed a look of incomparable desire. Obviously, Wu Yuantong was right. The Yuan jade pendant can be regarded as a treasure to increase the probability of a breakthrough before the secret realm opens. What's more, the second level of the Yuan secret realm has a variety of other opportunities. There are many fifth-level demonic beasts, various demonic herbs, refining materials. It can be said to be a paradise for demonic cultivators. The Yuan jade pendant in front of you is the key to this paradise. Wu Yuantong described vividly. Even if the rogue cultivators had not heard of the Yuan jade pendant, they knew the value of this treasure. "Master Wu, what are you talking about? Hurry up and bid. This old man is here for this thing. Yes, I have cultivated for hundreds of years for the Tao of immortality. This key to the secret realm, of course, I can't let it go." Wu Yuantong heard the anxious voices of the demonic cultivators below, but ignored them. Instead, he said slowly, "Don't worry, for such a valuable treasure it is better for me to introduce it clearly and let everyone feel that it is worth the money. You only know that the Yuan jade pendant is the key to the Yuan secret realm. I'm afraid you don't know its other functions." Lu Kuan heard this sentence and immediately pricked up his ears to listen. Wu Yuantong organized his words and said, "The Yuan jade pendant and the Yuan secret realm have the two words Yuan, because both of them are related to the top sect in ancient times, the Yuan sect." Yuan sect? There were still some impatient cultivators below, but when they heard these three words they all quieted down. Many of the devil cultivators who came to participate in the auction were rogue cultivators, and their information was not as comprehensive as that of the big sections. For many of them, this was the first time they had heard of Yuan school. Wu Yuantong said, "Speaking of this Yuan school, our monolith city doesn't have much information about it. We only know that it was one of the top sects in this world 80,000 to 90,000 years ago. In ancient times, Yuan school was one of the main forces that fought against the ancient devil race, and the magical tools left behind by this school to this day are somewhat related to the ancient devil race. Yuan's secret domain has appeared for so many years. Many seniors have speculated that this secret domain used to be the living area of the devil race, but it was sealed by Yuan school with a great magical power. Ancient demon clan. No wonder the Yuan secret realm is filled with dense devil chi and so many devil Tao treasures. It turns out that this is the territory of the ancient Devil Clan. Devil Dao power techniques were born out of the ancient Devil Clan, so Yuan School must have the means to restrain the Devil Dao power. The people below were discussing spiritedly, and Lu Kuan secretly nodded. From the hateful tone of Emohun, he could guess that Yuan School was the enemy of the ancient Devil Clan. Hearing this from Wu Yuantong, he was even more certain. Wu Yuantong stretched out his hand and gently patted the high platform. First, a layer of transparent restriction appeared on the high platform, then a bright light appeared on the cylindrical array, and a palm-sized, jade-white jade pendant appeared on the cylindrical platform. Wu Yuantong looked at this jade pendant engraved with two ancient characters, Yuan, and his eyes revealed a look of interest. He gently stroked the surface of the jade pendant and said in amazement, "In addition to being the key to the second layer of Yuan's secret domain, this Yuan jade pendant is also a special magical tool that specializes in restraining the souls of the devil race." Wu Yuantong shook his head and said, "This Wu thinks that his refining technique is not bad, but I can't see the difference in this jade pendant. This shows that Yuan School's refining technique is exquisite." Restraining Emohun? I don't know if Master Wu can explain. Lu Kuan heard this and took the opportunity to ask this question. Wu Yuantong said, "Everyone knows that when a cultivator enters the middle stage of qi refining, his soul can leave his body for a short period of time. If the body is damaged and there is a suitable body nearby, we can seize the body. However, a cultivator can only seize the body once in his life, but the souls of the ancient Devil Clan can seize the body twice. Moreover, it is very easy for the ancient Devil Clan to seize the body of a human. Even if our soul is one level higher, if we are not careful, we can still fall into the trap." Wu Yuantong stroked the jade pendant and said, "In order to prevent the Devil Clan from seizing the bodies of high-level human cultivators, Yuan School developed this Yuan jade pendant. As long as this jade pendant is in an activated state, the devil soul will be sealed as soon as it approaches." According to a senior, even the soul of a demigod realm devil soul cannot resist the sealing power of the Yuan jade pendant. These words shocked many of the core formation cultivators. The jade pendant in front of them could actually absorb the soul of a demigod realm devil soul. For them, nascent soul stage cultivators were existences that they could only look up to, not to mention the legendary demigod realm. "Master Wu, what do you mean by activated?" Before Lu Kuan said anything, someone naturally asked curiously. Wu Yuantong explained, "This Yuan jade pendant should have some kind of soul absorption material. When you pour in half of a core formation cultivator's magic power or devil soul, the jade pendant will be activated." While speaking, Wu Yuantong began to pour in devil soul. "Everyone, please take a look. Although this Yuan jade pendant absorbs devil soul, it does not reject the devil soul of a cultivator. After the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, the jade pendant began to change. When you pour in enough devil soul, a layer of faint white light will appear on the outside. That's right, this white light is the key to opening the Yuan secret territory. If you need to pour in so much devil soul, only core formation cultivators can use it freely." After a short while, the white light slowly sank into the jade pendant. Pouring in devil soul once is equivalent to activating the jade pendant. This amount of energy can maintain the jade pendant for about 100 years. During this 100 years, as long as a devil soul approaches, it will be sealed inside. After Wu Yuantong finished speaking, he gave everyone a moment to digest the information. Then, he continued, "The Yuan jade pendant can trap the soul of a demigod realm devil soul. It is also the key to opening the second level of the Yuan secret territory 12 years later. I don't need to say more about its value. Furthermore, if any fellow Taoist wins the bid, we will also give away the Yuan Jade Pendant's secret technique to activate the Foundation Establishment Secret Territory token. The first level of the Foundation Establishment's secret territory has a large amount of devil stones. It is also a treasure trove. Alright, I won't waste any more words. The Yuan Jade Pendant has a starting price of 10 million spirit stones. The highest bidder wins. As soon as he finished speaking, the white light screen on the stage began to flash with light. Immediately, there were devil cultivators who began to bid. However, there weren't many of them. It was obvious that 10 million spirit stones was not a small sum. There weren't many core formation stage devil cultivators who were worth this much. Lu Kuan glanced at it and no longer paid attention. He had the Yuan Jade Pendant in his hand, so he naturally wouldn't bid. His main purpose here was to obtain information about the Yuan Jade Pendant. After listening to Wu Yuantong's description, he felt a little uneasy. The Yuan Jade Pendant could last for 100 years after it was activated. However, his Jade Pendant had already imprisoned a devil soul. It would definitely lose its effect in less than 100 years. Chapter 686. After a fierce battle, the single origin Jade Pendant was sold at a high price of 21 million spirit stones to the number 3 cultivator who had never bid before. This caused the other demonic cultivators to beat their chests and stomp their feet. With the Solid Rock Auction House's method of auctioning, no one knew who this number 3 was. Even if they wanted to snatch it, they didn't know where to start. After auctioning off the last item, Wu Yuantong revealed a satisfied smile. The total amount of money in this auction was much higher than the previous one. As the host of the auction, he naturally received a lot of rewards. Looking at the flashing gray light below, he clapped his hands and said, "The auction is over. All you need to do is sit cross-legged on the tea table in front of you, and the formation will randomly teleport you out of the auction house." The demonic cultivators who had participated in the auction before all knew of this design and sat cross-legged on the tea table in front of them. Lu Kuan couldn't help but sigh. The auction house's design was exquisite and completely protected the interests of the bidders. In truth, the Solid Rock Auction House's design was very cost-effective. Everyone's safety was guaranteed and they didn't have to worry about being robbed. Naturally, they were willing to spend more spirit stones. Dozens of streaks of light flashed in succession and many silhouettes appeared in the air above the auction house. There were over 60 core formation cultivators, and they were all teleported out after a short while. These people didn't stop. They turned into streaks of light and shot out in all directions of the city. As for Lu Kuan, he landed on the streets below. He restrained his magic power, and after passing through several streets, he disappeared into the crowd. There were only over 60 core formation cultivators. Even if there were many items, the auction would end in a day. However, there were over 1,000 Foundation Establishment cultivators in the auction, and it would take at least 3 days and 3 nights. Lu Kuan circled the city a few times. After confirming that no one was following him, he returned to the temporary cave he rented. He would wait for the Foundation Establishment Cultivators auction to end before coming out to see if the blood refining sect's mission target had appeared. This auction was very worthwhile. Not to mention the information about the single origin Jade Pendant, the Poison Demon Powder and the Heaven Tough Hammer were very useful to him, especially the Heaven Welding Hammer. For a normal core formation cultivator, it would naturally be very difficult for them to wield such a heavy psychic magic treasure. However, with Lu Kuan's strength, he was able to wield it with ease. Even if he didn't have any demonic power, he would still be able to wield a huge amount of power. What's more, Lu Kuan wanted to study this heavy magic weapon that could be activated by magic power and see what mysteries it had. After returning to his cave residence, Lu Kuan didn't check the items he had obtained from the auction. Instead, he activated several of his restriction arrays and took out the jade pendant that imprisoned the devil soul. Then, the mana in his body surged and flowed towards the Yuan jade pendant. After a quarter of an hour, just like Wu Yuantong's demonstration, a white spiritual light appeared on the jade pendant. After a short while, all of these spiritual lights entered the jade pendant. At the same time, in the confined space of the jade pendant, a green ball wrapped in a thin white mist suddenly began to tremble and struggle. The white mist surrounding it became thicker at a speed visible to the naked eye. Damn it, this guy really knows how to use the Yuan jade pendant and knows how to replenish his mana. Moreover, after so many years, he's still full of vitality and magic power. It seems that he really sealed the true demonic intent. An annoyed voice came from the green ball. Obviously, it understood why the white mist outside became thicker. At this moment, a trace of divine sense suddenly appeared in this space. Lu Kuan's lazy voice came. "Old man, do you think I would be so negligent as to not replenish my mana? Moreover, I can tell you that I have 2 Yuan jade pendants. Even if you escape from this one, you'll immediately be sealed by the other one." The devil soul was silent for a moment, then slowly said, "Boy, you didn't come here just to ridicule this devil king, did you?" Lu Kuan said, "On the contrary, I want to continue our previous transaction. In the past few years, although the true demonic intent has not affected my mind, my cultivation has not been able to make any breakthroughs. Therefore, I am very interested in the blood demon art you spoke of." After hearing this, the devil soul coldly snorted and said, "Several years have passed. This devil king will not beat around the bush with you. My request is that you let my soul leave safely. Can you agree?" After being sealed for several years, the devil soul's impatience to escape had not become serious. Moreover, this person in front of him had only come back to find him after several years. It was very likely that this person had already gone to the blood refining sect and understood the difficulty of obtaining the blood demon art. In the devil soul's logic, Lu Kuan's current request was greater than his, so he directly stated his real request. Lu Kuan was silent for a moment, then slowly said, "As long as you help me obtain the blood demon art and give me at least 10 top demonic Dao secret arts, it is not impossible to let you go." The devil soul was stunned. He did not pay attention to the first half of Lu Kuan's words. He said with some disbelief, "You are really willing to let this king go?" Lu Kuan's soul shook and said, "It is impossible to let you go directly. However, I will place the Yuan jade pendant in a secret place. Presumably, when the magic power in the pendant is exhausted, you will be able to come out. Do you think this devil king is stupid? If you throw me into some kind of restriction, what use is there for this king to come out?" Lu Kuan sneered and said, "Old man, you have no choice. If you believe me, you still have a chance to leave. I will come back in a year. Consider it carefully." After saying this, Lu Kuan's soul left the Yuan jade pendant, not caring about the devil soul's reaction. After Lu Kuan came out, he put the Yuan jade pendant into his storage pouch. Based on the previous situation, the devil soul would be sealed for 5 years after entering. However, just in case, he still put the other jade pendant together with the Yuan jade pendant. After doing all this, he sneered and said, "Let's bait this old man and see if I can get some useful devil Dao secret techniques from him. I cultivate the blood devil art, so it might be useful. However, the most important thing is to find out how to open the Death Sea Devil Caves restriction. As for letting this guy go, that is impossible. This devil soul once wanted to possess his body. According to Wu Yuantong's description of the devil race's possession divine ability, Lu Kuan's soul concealment secret technique might not be able to escape. If not for the Yuan jade pendant, Lu Kuan's body might have already been possessed. In addition, the devil soul knew the location of the devil cave in the Death Sea. He might also know about the demon spirit island above. If he were to let him go, he would become a hidden danger. Moreover, after the threat of the Death Sea Devil Cave was resolved, Lu Kuan treated the Devil Cave as his own. Not only him, but the body refining pavilion would also use it in the future. Previously, the success of the blood devil bone refining technique allowed Lu Kuan to discover the cultivation path of body cultivators after the bone treasure stage. After body cultivators entered the bone treasure stage, if they followed the prescribed order, they would need to take another step to reach the critical point of refining magic treasures. This would take far longer than the lifespan of a core formation stage cultivator. However, after Lu Kuan created the blood devil bone refining technique, the time needed to refine the bones would be greatly reduced. This cultivation secret technique was not only useful for Lu Kuan's lightning attribute magic technique, but also for magic power. As long as it was magic power, it could mutually destroy the blood devil art to produce energy. However, Lu Kuan's lightning attribute magic power would be more efficient. Other body cultivators, such as Zhao Qintian, would have to cultivate the blood devil bone refining technique if they successfully entered the bone treasure stage. The foundation of the blood devil bone refining technique was the blood devil art. According to Lu Kuan's own cultivation experience and his observation of the blood devil cave in the blood refining sect, the entry level of the blood devil art required the use of true demon intent. With his bone treasure stage and core formation stage spiritual sense, it would not be a big problem for him to bear a trace of it. However, true demonic intent wasn't something that could be found anywhere. Judging from the situation in the Sea of Death's Devil Cavern, it could only be nurtured in the true demonic pool. It was highly likely that the blood refining sect also had a true demonic pool. After the body refining pavilion had the Death Sea Devil Cave, body cultivators who entered the bone treasure stage would be able to cultivate the blood devil art with the help of the true demon pool. This would allow them to refine Lu Kuan's blood devil bone refining technique and accelerate their bone treasure stage cultivation. Chapter 687. Several days passed in the blink of an eye and the Monolith City auction, which was held once every 50 years, came to an end. Not only did the auction take place, but there were also many shops in the market that earned a lot of spirit stones. In addition to the entrance fees, it could be said that the Wandering Cultivator Alliance earned a lot of money from the auction. Although many of the Foundation establishment stage cultivators had found treasures and medicinal pills that they liked in this auction, at this moment, many of them felt a little uneasy in their hearts. According to previous years, after the auction ended, there would be all kinds of battles happening outside of Monolith City every day. Large numbers of Foundation establishment cultivators would fall. On the other hand, there were also people who took advantage of this opportunity to obtain large amounts of cultivation resources and form a golden core. A group of 10 or more Foundation establishment cultivators was relatively safe. But if there were only 3 or 4 people in a group, they were sure to be ambushed by other demonic cultivators. Groups with fewer people would often swear a temporary divine sense oath and travel together. There were also many devil cultivators who came to snatch resources. They set up an ambush outside of Monolith City early in the morning and set up a few concealment formations at the places they had to pass through. With the dangers outside the city, of course there would be cultivators who wanted to stay in Monolith City. However, Monolith City wasn't stupid. Half a year after the auction ended, the prices of temporary cave residences and inns increased by dozens of times. If one wanted to live in Monolith City safely, there was no problem as long as one had a large amount of spirit stones. However, the cost of living in Monolith City for half a year was too much for even core formation cultivators. At night, there were core formation cultivators patrolling the streets of Monolith City. If they found any cultivators lingering outside, they would immediately take them down and throw them out of the city. As for the area outside of the city, there were nascent soul cultivators from the Wandering Cultivator Alliance overseeing it. With their spiritual sense, they could easily prevent cultivators from staying and fighting in the area. If they found any, they would immediately kill them. The Foundation establishment cultivators who had gained from the auction had spent most of their spirit stones. At most, they would stay in the city for 1 or 2 days before leaving. On the second day after the auction ended, a group of Foundation establishment cultivators flew out of Monolith City's East Gate with nervous expressions. This group of cultivators consisted of both men and women. There were about 12 of them, and their cultivations weren't weak. Apart from the 6 early Foundation establishment cultivators, there were 4 mid-Foundation establishment cultivators and 2 late Foundation establishment cultivators. Their combined strength was the strongest among the several teams that had left the city. The leader of the group was an extremely handsome man. As the group approached the area 100 miles away, he became more and more cautious. Even though the group was strong, he didn't let his guard down. His late-stage Foundation establishment stage divine sense probed around. Behind the handsome man was a slender young woman with a neutral face. She was also in the late stage of the Foundation establishment stage. Seeing the handsome man so nervous, she couldn't help but ask curiously, "Cousin, with our strength, who would dare to provoke us? There's no need to be so nervous." The handsome man's divine sense was still spread out. He sighed and said, "Cousin, of course I'm not afraid of Foundation establishment cultivators. What I'm afraid of are core formation cultivators." The young woman was puzzled. "But cousin, the auction for the core formation cultivators should have ended long ago. Those seniors should have already left. Who would be so bored as to attack us Foundation establishment cultivators?" The handsome man furrowed his brows and said, "Cousin, this is the message that third granduncle left for me. He said that the core formation auction this time is no small matter and that there will be many valuable items. 2 days ago, there were already many battles between core formation cultivators 100 miles away from Monolith City. You also know that with the power of a core formation cultivator, even the aftermath of a battle is not something a Foundation establishment cultivator can withstand. Third granduncle also told me that core formation stage demonic cultivators are all very smart. It's very likely that they are hiding among the Foundation establishment cultivators in order to avoid detection by other demonic cultivators. Therefore, we must be very, very careful. Don't let any unfamiliar cultivators near us." The young woman didn't pay attention to the last 2 sentences. Instead, she asked curiously, "Cousin, did a Yuan jade pendant really appear in the core formation auction?" Seeing the young woman's expression, the handsome man helplessly said, "That's right. A Yuan jade pendant appeared. However, our Zhua clan is one of the 3 clans of the Western continent. We already have a Yuan jade pendant. Even if we buy this Yuan jade pendant, there won't be enough high-level disciples to enter the Yuan secret realm 12 years later. Unlike the 3 demonic sects of the state of Qi, each time they send in dozens of Foundation establishment cultivators." A trace of fear flashed across the handsome man's eyes. As long as the 3 demonic sects enter, they will all have the power of a late Foundation establishment cultivator. Some of them can even unleash the power of a core formation cultivator if they work together. The 5 sects and 3 clans of the Western continent can only form an alliance to help each other in the Yuan secret realm. Only then can we avoid being slaughtered by the 3 demonic sections. As for other rogue cultivators, they are simply seeking death. The young woman stuck out her tongue and said, "Then this Yuan jade pendant must have been bought by a core formation cultivator to enter the 2nd level." The handsome man glared at his cousin. "We don't need to think too much about core formation cultivators. What you need to do now is to master our Zhua clan's secret technique. That way we can still protect ourselves when we enter the Yuan secret realm." The young woman absent-mindedly nodded her head when she heard the handsome man's serious tone. Soon after, she rolled her eyes and said, "Don't worry, I'll cultivate." Right, cousin, did you choose to leave through the east gate to avoid the core formation cultivators? A few thousand miles east of Monolith City is the boundary of the southern continent. Generally, core formation stage cultivators rarely choose to fight in the eastern part of the city. If a core formation stage cultivator from the western continent enters the territory of the blood refining sect, it is still somewhat dangerous. When the handsome man saw that his cousin changed the topic as soon as she mentioned cultivation, he had a headache. His cousin's talent could be said to be much higher than his. It was just that she was too lazy in her cultivation. Otherwise, she would have already reached the core formation realm. When his cousin heard that she might encounter a core formation cultivator, she didn't particularly care. Both of them had life-saving treasures given by their clan elders. If they encountered a core formation cultivator, they would be able to successfully escape. However, the clan disciples behind them would most likely be doomed. At this moment, the handsome man's expression changed slightly. There's a battle ahead. The young woman also seemed to have noticed something. Her eyes lit up. Cousin, I also sensed it. It seems to be a battle between Foundation establishment cultivators. There are only 10 people on both sides. Only one of them is in the late stage of Foundation establishment. Then her voice suddenly became louder. Strange, an early stage Foundation establishment cultivator can actually control black lightning? He's not at a disadvantage against a mid-stage Foundation establishment cultivator. When the handsome man heard this, he seemed to have thought of something and quickly focused his divine sense. He saw a tall and sturdy man with a scar on his face. He was unscrupulously controlling several black lightning balls to attack a mid-stage Foundation establishment cultivator. His combat strength was far beyond his peers. Although this person's cultivation was only in the early stage of Foundation establishment, when the handsome man scanned with his divine sense, he didn't know why, but he felt a sense of trepidation. The handsome man was very confident in his intuition. He decisively said, "Everyone, change direction. Leave the battle ahead." After he finished speaking, he quickly led the way. Although his cousin was somewhat unwilling, she didn't disobey her husband's order. She followed the handsome man and flew in another direction. Not long after the Zhua clan left, the battle ahead gradually changed. The early-stage Foundation establishment cultivator mysteriously appeared behind the late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator. He shot out a small dark red arrow that broke through the cultivator's barrier and killed him. Chapter 688. As the opening of the Yuan secret realm approached, the top disciples of the blood refining sect, the Seven Fiends sect, and the Yin-Yang sect rarely came out. Most of them were in seclusion to prepare for the Yuan secret realm. On the other hand, the Foundation establishment loose cultivators of the Western continent became more active. They frequently appeared at the borders of the Eastern continent, the Southern continent, and the Northern continent. Without the threat of the top disciples of the three sects, these loose cultivators were very excited. Whenever they had the chance, they would kill the Foundation establishment disciples of the three sects and then move to another continent to commit their crimes. If it was in the past, the top disciples of the Foundation establishment stage would come out to deal with them. But now, the loose cultivators weren't afraid of the mid-Foundation establishment stage disciples. After all, core formation stage disciples wouldn't waste time chasing after low-level cultivators. However, as the loose cultivators' activities expanded, they were gradually put on missions by the three sections. Strong disciples began to form teams to hunt them down, but the loose cultivators also acted in teams. A few years later, the number of rogue cultivators operating in the southern continent gradually decreased. The blood refining sect was the #1 demonic sect in the state of Qi. Their cultivation methods were exquisite, and they had many disciples. Even if their cultivation wasn't high, they still had amazing combat strength. In these years, The name of the blood refining sects Zhongyang began to spread among the loose cultivators. According to the rumors, although he was only at the early foundation establishment stage, his black lightning divine ability was incomparably sharp. It seemed that he was also a talisman master. Talismans with black lightning? There were a dozen in his storage pouch. In addition, he was proficient in a top-notch escape technique. Even if he was surrounded by several late Foundation establishment stage disciples, he could still escape successfully. There were also rumors that his trump card was a top-notch mid-level offensive spell. If a late Foundation establishment stage cultivator was careless, they would be killed directly. However, most people didn't believe it. Time flew by quickly. There were only 2 years until the opening of the Yuan secret realm. On this day, at the border of the eastern continent and the southern continent, 3 disciples of the blood refining sect were riding a flying boat and flying towards the blood refining sect. The most eye-catching one was a burly middle-aged man. He was at the late Foundation establishment stage, but his demonic power was very unstable. He seemed to be seriously injured and was closing his eyes to recuperate. This person was Lei Batian, who had participated in the mission with Lu Kuan. Back then, Lei Batian had chased after a late Foundation establishment stage cultivator of the Ouyang clan and left the city. He had managed to keep his life and was given a sizable amount of contribution point. Behind Lei Batian was a man and a woman. The woman's appearance was flirtatious. She wore a translucent chiffon dress, and her curvaceous figure was faintly discernible. Her exposed skin was incomparably white and tender. She was the Baijie that Lu Kuan knew. At this time, Baijie's cultivation was still at the middle stage of the Foundation establishment realm. However, the demonic power in her body was even more profound, exuding an inexplicable aura. At this time, she was sitting cross-legged on the flying boat, her demonic power tumbling as if she was practicing some kind of cultivation technique. As for the last man, he was a slightly thin middle-aged man. He was also in the late stage of the Foundation establishment stage. Although he was not injured, he had consumed a lot of his magic power. At this time, he was controlling the flying boat in the middle. After flying for about an hour, Lei Batian slowly opened his eyes. His injuries had stabilized. He coldly looked at Baijie and said to the middle-aged man without any courtesy, "Fang Hao, why didn't you explain this to me? Fang Hao, why don't you give me an explanation? If it weren't for this woman who insisted on sucking that early Foundation establishment rogue cultivator dry, we wouldn't have been ambushed outside the cave." The thin middle-aged man was called Fang Hao. He was a member of the Fang clan and was the elder brother of the deceased Fang Jing. When he heard Lei Batian's words, he calmly said, "Junior brother Lei, I know you have resentment in your heart, but I can't say much about Baijie. I can only tell you that by doing this, she will be able to help us in the Yuan secret realm in the future." Lei Batian said in disbelief, "This woman is only at the middle stage of the Foundation establishment stage, and she cultivates a demonic cultivation technique that harvests yang to nourish yin. How can she be of any help? Your Fang clan actually wasted a spot in the secret realm for her?" Fang Hao said in a low voice, "Junior brother Lei, don't you know what kind of person I, Fang Hao, am? If I say she can help, then she can help." Lei Batian looked at Baijie again. After a moment of silence, he said, "Fine. You, Fang Hao, do everything for the sake of profit. Just now, you used a large amount of demonic energy and a treasure. I believe you won't do anything useless." He then took out a pill and swallowed it. His eyes flashed with an indescribable light. "We were ambushed by 4 late-stage Foundation establishment stage rogue cultivators and almost died. But I heard that Kid Zhongyang was able to escape from the encirclement of 4 late-stage Foundation establishment stage cultivators." Fang Hao, this person was a good friend of your younger brother Fang Jing. Now that Fang Zheng is dead, you should have contacted him. Does he really have the strength to do so? When Fang Hao heard the words Zhang Yang, a complicated look appeared in his eyes. He slowly nodded. This Zhang Yang is not simple. The elders in the clan told me to befriend him. They didn't say much. But this person is a rogue cultivator. It's very likely that he was taken in as a disciple by a core formation stage senior. He is a Relingen genius. I once saw him use demonic lightning with my own eyes. His cultivation technique should be the true demonic lightning controlling technique. The only core formation stage martial uncle in the sect who cultivates this technique is martial uncle Chen. Lei Batian was unconvinced. Even if he cultivates the true demonic lightning controlling technique, he is only at the early stage of foundation establishment stage. Fang Hao shook his head. I don't know the specifics, but there is a rumor among rogue cultivators that Zhang Yang knows a blood escape technique that combines lightning magic. It is because of this that he was able to escape so many times. But this escape technique clearly has many hidden dangers. Every time Zhang Yang completes a mission, he will go into seclusion for a year or two. I'm afraid he is trying to replenish his blood essence and demonic energy. In the past 10 years, I have only seen Zhang Yang twice in the sect. Lei Batian's eyes flashed with fighting spirit. I hope I can meet Zhang Yang when I return to the sect and have a good fight with him. Fang Hao revealed a strange expression. Just as he was about to say something, his expression suddenly changed. Not good. Someone is catching up. Lei Batian also noticed something. His expression turned ugly. Those 4 guys actually have a top-grade flying magic tool. They didn't hesitate to use a large amount of demonic energy to chase after us. But how do they know our direction? Fang Hao looked at Bai Jie, who was still cultivating. He sighed and vaguely understood why the other party was chasing after them. At this time, his demonic energy was less than 30% of its peak. Lei Batian's injuries had not healed. Even if the rogue cultivators behind them were not in their best condition, they had the advantage in numbers. Just as the two sides were about to meet, a black light came from the front of the flying boat. Fang Hao was stunned for a moment. Then, he revealed an expression of ecstasy. Junior brother Zhang. Lei Batian's divine sense also probed forward. Inside the black light was a tall man with a fierce face. He was standing on a flying magic tool. It was Zhang Yang, who they were just talking about. So it is senior brother Fang and senior brother Lei. Hey, senior sister Bai is also here. Fang Hao hurriedly said, Junior brother, you came at the right time. Junior brother Lei and I are not in good condition. Now there are 4 rogue cultivators in the late stage of foundation establishment chasing after us. With junior brother here, we have the power to fight. After all, those 4 have consumed a lot of demonic energy. Chapter 689. 4 black talismans appeared in Zhang Yang's hand in an instant. They were surging with a mixture of demonic aura and lightning aura. Then, demonic power flashed in his hand and the black talismans shot out. They were shot out. Talismans? They turned into 4 3-meter-long electric nets surrounded by black lightning. They formed an encirclement and met the aggressive escape light in front of them. Black lightning. Not good, this person is Zhang Yang. The 4 rogue cultivators who caught up were all in the late foundation establishment realm. They had long noticed Zhang Yang's escape light, but they only released their early foundation establishment realm cultivation and didn't pay much attention to it. But when this person threw out the black lightning talismans, they immediately connected the rumored Zhang Yang with this person in front of them. After all, Zhang Yang's figure and appearance were very unique. The situation is not good, retreat. The 4 rogue cultivators had the same idea. They drew an arc, bypassed the black electric net, and fled back the way they came. They acted decisively. Seeing that the blood-refining sect disciple in front of them had such a strong support like Zhang Yang, they immediately fled without hesitation. They had heard that Zhang Yang had the battle strength of a late Foundation establishment realm cultivator. But the most troublesome thing was that this person was proficient in the art of talismans. He could throw out talismans in battle without any hesitation. In addition, he had a shocking escape technique. Fighting with him would definitely be an arduous and thankless task. Lei Batian and Fang Hao also had complicated expressions when they saw the scene in front of them. They didn't expect Zhang Yang to have such a great reputation among rogue cultivators. A few talismans? He scared the enemy away. Seeing the enemy escape, Zhang Yang sighed and said, "These four are very smart. As long as they hesitate, they will run into my demonic thunder net. At that time, with the help of 2 senior brothers, at least one of them can stay." Fang Hao coughed lightly. "We're already satisfied that they've retreated. Many thanks to junior apprentice brother Zhang for your help. As for those talismans? How many spirit stones do you need? We'll compensate you." Zhang Yang shook his head and said, "If senior brother has intermediate talisman crafting materials, then you can compensate me with materials. Junior brother has consumed too many materials in recent years." A strange glint flashed in Fang Hao's eyes as he said, "No problem. My Fang clan has a lot of talisman crafting materials. I can exchange for them. What about junior brother's Devil Thunder magic talisman? Can you sell it to senior brother? Contribution points are fine too." Lei Batian, who was standing at the side, was also tempted. Although the electric net just now was only at the level of a beginner intermediate spell, the power of the Devil Thunder was already stronger than ordinary spells. Coupled with the effect of breaking magic, it was somewhat threatening to the late stage of the Foundation establishment stage. Zhang Yang said helplessly, "Shidi also wants to sell Devil Thunder glyphs? Unfortunately, this kind of talisman? It can only be activated with compatible magic power. Even if I give it to senior brother Fang, it's useless. That's why junior brother wants to exchange it for talisman crafting materials." Fang Hao and Lei Batian showed a trace of disappointment. The Devil Thunder art was a special magical ability of the true Devil Lightning controlling true art. What Zhang Yang said should be true. Zhang Yang summoned the flying spiritual shuttle again. He waved his hand and said, "Senior brothers, junior brother has just accepted a few missions in the Western Prefecture. I won't delay you any longer. See you next time at the sect." After saying that, Zhang Yang shot toward the Western Prefecture under the gazes of Fang Hao and Lei Batian. This Zhang Yang really has some ability. The mission he accepted is probably a mission to kill a demonic cultivator. Lei Batian said with a somewhat complicated expression. When he first met Zhang Yang had just reached the Foundation establishment stage. Although he was proficient in thunder attribute spells, Lei Batian didn't take him seriously. Who knew that after not seeing him for more than 10 years, Zhang Yang had cultivated the true Devil Lightning controlling true art. Coupled with his amazing talisman crafting talent, his strength had advanced by leaps and bounds. Today, he even saved his life. Fang Hao glanced at Lei Batian and grinned. "Junior brother Lei, I didn't finish my words. If you were to fight with Zhang Yang, would you be killed by his talisman? Crushed to death?" Seeing that Lei Batian didn't say anything, Fang Hao continued. "If my guess is correct, Zhang Yang has completed so many missions to kill cultivators over the years in order to obtain resources to cultivate his talisman crafting technique. If he can refine a mid-rank or even higher Devil Thunder art, his strength will be even stronger." Lei Batian waved his hand and said in a deep voice, "Fang Hao, don't talk nonsense. Our condition isn't good. Let's hurry back to the Blood Demon Mountain Range." Fang Hao looked at Lei Batian's dark face and chuckled twice. He then reactivated the flying shuttle and flew toward the blood refining sect. Lu Kuan sensed that Fang Hao and company had left. As he continued flying, he guessed, From the looks of it, Fong Hao and Lei Batian don't know my identity as Blood Demon. However, the Fong family's closeness to me is much better than Fong Zheng's in the past. Right, I remember that the late core formation stage old man outside the Blood Demon cave was also surnamed Fong. Could he be from the Fong family? Did he tell me about my situation? Lu Kuan shook his head and didn't think too much about it. Although the blood refining sect was concealing the identity of the Blood Demon, as long as he entered the Yuan secret realm, the other blood demons would appear one by one. After all, he had to rely on the Blood Demon to find the Devil Stones in the secret realm. Leaving the Yuan secret realm aside, Lu Kuan had accepted a mission in the West Prefecture this time. Naturally, he had more important things to do. It had been 10 years since the last time he participated in the Monolith City's auction. In these 10 years, Lu Kuan had constantly accepted missions to kill Foundation Establishment stage devil cultivators. Every time he went out, he would stay outside for a year. Some of the disciples in the sect, and even the core formation stage cultivators who were paying attention to him, felt that this was normal. The other disciples' missions outside were also calculated by the year. But in reality, Lu Kuan spent most of his time cultivating the Blood Demon bone refining technique. This was because when he activated this technique, his core formation stage magic power would scatter in all directions. If he cultivated in the blood refining sect, he would be in danger of being discovered. Therefore, Lu Kuan found a temporary cave residence outside to cultivate. After 10 years of cultivation, Lu Kuan had already perfected the Blood Demon bone refining technique. The efficiency of the destructive force had reached the highest level, and the quality of the bones in his body was also transforming year by year. Lu Kuan used up all his Blood Demon crystals and core formation stage mana to refine his bones. It would take him 3 days and 3 nights to refine his bones. In the past 10 years, he had practiced more than 1,000 rounds of the Blood Demon bone refinement technique. Back in the Devil's Cave, Lu Kuan had successfully refined the Blood Demon crystal to 4 times the Great Circle Foundation Establishment stage magic power. Therefore, when he replenished his magic power, he could also absorb ordinary devil chi, but the speed was very slow. In order to increase the efficiency, Lu Kuan used 4 devil stones for every round of refinement. In 10 years, the consumption of devil stones alone had reached more than 5,000. According to the price at the Monolith auction, it was equivalent to 80 million spirit stones. Ordinary core formation stage cultivators could not afford such consumption. Of course, all these expenses were not in vain. Lu Kuan's bones had now nearly doubled in density. His bones had gradually transformed into a purple color, and his core formation stage lightning magic power had become denser. When his bones reached this level, the improvement of the Blood Demon bone refining technique was minimal. It was as if the bones in his body had reached a bottleneck. Lu Kuan was very clear in his heart that the quality of his bones had been refined to the limit of his current realm. With his knowledge of the art of refining, if he took out his bones, they could be used as materials to refine magic treasures. In other words, his body cultivation realm had already reached the peak of the initial treasure bone realm. According to his vision of the treasure bone realm, the next step was to carve a magic treasure array and refine his bones into a magic treasure in the true sense. Only when his bones became a magic treasure could he be considered to have reached the treasure bone realm in the true sense. Chapter 690. A month later, in a cave house in the 8-Spirit Valley of the Demon Spirit Island, Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu were drinking spirit tea and talking cheerfully. A little monkey with golden hair was lying on Lu Kuan's head, listening to the conversation between the two with bright eyes. At this time, Xiao Jin's demon spirit power was getting stronger and stronger, surpassing that of an ordinary level 4 monster. However, the body refining method it cultivated had not reached the peak of the viscera forging stage. Even if it relied on the rich demon chi in the demon spirit island, it would still take some time. I didn't expect that after more than 10 years, Junior Brother not only solved the hidden dangers in his body, but also made great progress in his cultivation. It is really a blessing in disguise. After listening to Lu Kuan's story, Qin Yushu said with emotion. Lu Kuan also had feelings. Yes, I didn't expect that in order to deal with the true demon will, I indirectly found the best way to accelerate the cultivation of the bone treasure stage. Coupled with some opportunities, I cultivated to the peak of the early bone treasure stage so quickly. This time I came back to try to break through the realm and enter the middle bone treasure stage. Qin Yushu's face gradually became dignified. The bone treasure stage that Junior Brother created is to refine the bones of the body into magic weapons. When Junior Brother entered the bone treasure stage, he used the bones as a magic weapon material. Now that he is about to break through, do you want to refine the bones into magic weapons? Lu Kuan said in a deep voice. Yes, but to refine the bones of the whole body into magic weapons, it is still a bit difficult for me alone. I need Senior Brother Qin to help me. He glanced at his body and said with a wry smile, because of the diversity of the human body's bones, you need to refine 206 magic weapons. Many of the bones are in pairs, and even need to be refined to be exactly the same. Qin Yushu sucked in a breath of cold air. 206 magic weapons, even if it is the simplest magic weapon, the number is too terrifying. Furthermore, you're using your own flesh and bones. When you're conscious, wouldn't the pain you suffer be? Lu Kuan said nonchalantly. It's easy to deal with the pain. The problem is that there are too many of them. This level of refining is not something Junior Brother can handle alone. Even with Senior Brother's help, it's still too much. Luckily, we're on Demon Spirit Island, and the spiritual energy here is dense. Our magic power recovers very quickly, and our refining techniques are also very good. Furthermore, Senior Martial Brother and I can also use the secret technique of the soul sensing technique to combine our two consciousnesses into one. With our current cultivation level, after combining our consciousnesses, we will be at the peak of the late core formation stage. It will be much easier to refine. Qin Yushu had met Lu Kuan more than 100 years ago at the Yang clan's refining peak. Because of his relationship with Nie Wufeng and the years of life and death together, he was as close as a brother to Lu Kuan. He was Lu Kuan's most trusted person. Only Qin Yushu could help with the refinement of the bone treasure. Qin Yushu let out a breath and said slowly, Okay, what do you need Senior Martial Brother to do? Junior Martial Brother can just tell me. Lu Kuan smiled and said, Then I'll thank Senior Martial Brother first. Let me tell Senior Martial Brother about the situation of my bones first. Qin Yushu listened attentively. Before Junior Martial Brother broke through to the bone treasure stage, Junior Martial Brother carved the Imperial Thunder Body Technique's lightning seal on your bones. In order to cover all your bones, you carved a total of 6 lightning seals. 6 lightning seals? This move seems to make the bones produce related attribute. Qin Yushu cultivated the wind shadow technique. When he was in the foundation establishment stage, he condensed the wind seal in his dantian. Now that he reached the core formation stage, the wind seal formed on his golden core. Lu Kuan nodded and said, That's right. After entering the bone treasure stage, Junior Martial Brother's core formation stage mana crystal combined with the bones. After so many years of refining the thunder attribute mana and the effect of the lightning seal, the thunder pattern of the lightning seal gradually spread. All of the bones have already turned purple and exuded a strong thunder attribute aura. It can be said that the original ordinary bones have already become thunder attribute bones. He continued, The attributes of the bones are only one of them. When Junior Martial Brother condensed the lightning seal, He carved more than 20 spirit-controlling formations in the bones. They are the miniature formations created by Martial Uncle Nya. The combination of the bones and the spirit-controlling formations. As long as my divine sense exists, the changes of the hidden spiritual roots will not affect me at all. Moreover, the existence of this spirit-controlling formation also causes my bones to have the characteristic of spontaneously absorbing spiritual energy. Qin Yushu's eyes flashed a trace of understanding. In other words, Junior Martial Brothers' bones are equivalent to having the thunder attribute and are materials that can spontaneously absorb spiritual energy. Lu Kuan said again, but just these are not enough to forge a magic treasure. There are also very high requirements for the material of the body. Junior Martial Brothers' initial cultivation of the bone treasure was to constantly strengthen the material of the bones and temper them to the extreme. He looked at Qin Yushu and said, Senior Martial Brother, your 5-feathered universe blade is now at the magic treasure level. Why don't Senior Martial Brother use it to feel the strength of Junior Martial Brother's bones? Qin Yushu thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. A green light flashed in his hand and a green flying knife appeared in his hand. The flying knife was in the shape of a willow leaf. The front end was a sharp blade and the back end was a tail feather formed by a green feather. It emitted a strong wind attribute aura. Obviously, Qin Yushu had refined the 5-feathered universe blade again in the years after he formed his gold core. Its power was far beyond the level of a pseudo-magic treasure. However, after it became a magic treasure, with Qin Yushu's current cultivation, he was unable to use the 5-feathered universe blade as one. Senior Martial Brother, try the bones of my forearm. While speaking, Lu Kuan raised his right arm. The green flying knife turned into a green light and shot towards Lu Kuan's right arm. Pucci, Qin Yushu felt a strong obstruction. This obstruction was obviously Lu Kuan's arm muscles, but under the attack of his magic treasure, they were slowly cut open. Clang! After cutting through the muscle, Qin Yushu discovered that the flying knife had hit something hard. There was even a trace of rebound force. Under the muscle was Lu Kuan's bones. Senior Martial Brother, try the maximum power of the flying knife again. When Qin Yushu heard Lu Kuan's words, he directly poured 100% of his magic power into the flying knife. The green flying knife turned around and turned into a green light, flashing towards Lu Kuan's right arm. Clang! A crisp sound was heard and the green flying knife was bounced into the air. In the depths of Lu Kuan's wound, a slight crack appeared on the purple forearm bone. Because he controlled the blood to not flow out, Qin Yushu saw it very clearly. I didn't think that the material of Junior Martial Brothers' bones had really reached the level of a heavenly treasure. After this attack, Qin Yushu completely understood the strength of Lu Kuan's bones. The full force attack of a normal core formation stage magic treasure could only create a slight crack. Just based on the material alone, it was completely no problem to use it to refine magic treasures. Moreover, Lu Kuan's bones also had the lightning attribute and the characteristics of spontaneously absorbing spiritual energy. Qin Yushu calmed his shocked heart and pondered for a while before asking, if you want to refine a bone magic treasure, other than the necessary microformations, what other microformations does Junior Martial Brother plan to refine? You have to know that the more formations you inscribe, the more difficult it is. Lu Kuan had already thought about the direction of bone treasures development. He said in a low voice, bone treasures are like magic treasures. In the later stages you can continue to refine them. For this breakthrough, Junior Martial Brother also doesn't want to take the risk. Therefore, you only need one type of microformation, which is also the most commonly used magic treasures, and that is a sturdy formation. Qin Yushu was a bit puzzled. Junior Martial Brother, your bones are of the lightning attribute. Don't you want to inscribe a lightning attribute offensive formation first? This way, you can also unleash Junior Martial Brothers' lightning attribute mana to the maximum. Lu Kuan shook his head and said, "Body cultivators are most powerful in their physical strength. With the help of a sturdy formation, I can even fight against a core formation stage magic treasure with my bare hand. And with a sturdy formation, my physical defense will explosively increase. In addition to my extremely strong muscles, it will be almost impossible for core formation stage cultivators to kill me. Therefore, the core of this bone treasure refining is one word." Chapter 691. At this time, other than the two of them, only Lu Xiao and Yu Xian were cultivating in seclusion on Demon Spirit Island. After Zhu Xiaofeng arranged for the spirit transformation sex market a few years ago, he continued to search for suitable disciples outside. Xiao Hongfei went overseas to hunt demon beasts. He was a bit depressed. When he first joined the treasure pavilion under the restriction with Lu Kuan, he wanted to join forces with Lu Kuan to kill demon beasts overseas and quickly obtain demon cores. From there, he could refine large amounts of cultivation pills. Who knew that after dealing with the Devil's Den, Lu Kuan would be injured and had to go to the state of Qi to find a solution. In the end, Xiao Hongfei could only go overseas alone. Only Qin Yushu knew that Lu Kuan had returned this time. The others didn't know that he was preparing to break through. After Qin Yushu and Lu Kuan finished their discussion in the cave, they took action. Qin Yushu took out large amounts of blood-clotting grass, and Lu Kuan took out many jade bottles filled with essence blood. The two of them controlled the dermic fire in their bodies, and began to refine blood marrow powder. Different from the refining of normal magic treasures, this time they were refining Lu Kuan's bones. If they refined other materials used to carve arrays into his body, there would inevitably be problems. Therefore, they had to use blood marrow powder, which was refined from Lu Kuan's own essence blood. Regardless of whether it was the basic array or the carving of the magic treasures, they all needed blood marrow powder. There were 206 magic treasures, so they needed a lot of it. Fortunately, Lu Kuan and the others found a large amount of blood-clotting grass in the storage bag of the Red Refining Sect disciple in the Devil's Denver. It was enough to refine blood marrow powder. Unfortunately, this kind of herb grew in a harsh environment. The people of the treasure pavilion were still studying how to grow this kind of herb. After all, when a body cultivator reached the peak of body tempering, they would need to carve a spirit-controlling formation on their bones to increase their chances of breaking through. Naturally, they would need blood marrow powder and a large amount of blood-clotting grass. The refining of the blood marrow powder was very simple. With Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu's current realm, it only took them one day to refine nearly 100 bottles, using up all the blood-clotting grass they had stored. If it weren't for Lu Kuan saving up some blood essence from time to time after solving the hidden danger 10 years ago, they wouldn't have been able to refine so much blood coagulation grass in such a short time. Lu Kuan's essence and blood, compared to the beginning of the Bone Treasure period, had a huge change. The concentration had increased by several times, and after being soaked by the true demon, it had also undergone some inexplicable changes. However, when the blood marrow powder was successfully refined, the vision of the ape roaring still appeared. Lu Kuan was relieved. This meant that the essence of his blood had not changed. "Senior brother, the blood marrow powder is almost ready. The next step is to refine the 206 bones." Lu Kuan looked at the pile of jade bottles filled with blood marrow powder in front of him, his voice trembling a little. "By the way, Junior Brother has once carved 25 spirit-controlling formations. Although these formations can affect the bones of the whole body, now that we are refining the bones separately, do we need to recarve the 206 spirit-controlling formations?" Lu Kuan shook his head and said, "The role of the spirit-controlling formation is to help the bones better control the spirit qi. It only needs to radiate to the whole body. There is no need to recarve it for the time being." He paused for a moment and sighed, and even if I want to recarve it, the current blood marrow powder is somewhat insufficient. Qin Yushu looked at the refined blood marrow powder and thought about the number of 206. He also sighed. Lu Kuan said again, "Senior brother, because the material is my body, there is no need to carve the bloodline formation. The bones are equivalent to senior brother's 5-feather Qiankuan saber, but they are not a set of magic weapons, and there is no need to form them at the same time." Qin Yushu thought for a moment and understood. That's right, junior brother's body is your own, and the spiritual power is in the bones. It can be said that the magic weapons have a congenital master. More than 200 magic weapons are of the same origin and are connected to each other. There should be no problem refining them one by one. He continued, "Since you plan to only carve the strengthening formation, then the refining of each bone will be relatively easy. You only need the basic formation and strengthening formation of the magic weapon." Next, Lu Kuan took a deep breath and said, "Then we will start from the outside to the inside. First, we will refine the hands and feet, then the arms and legs, and finally the bones of the torso and skull. The hands and feet are quite difficult, so we will refine them first. The bones of the limbs are relatively simple, and that is when we are tired. As for the bones of the torso and skull, they are the most difficult. But according to my speculation, as the magic weapons of the limbs are formed, the spiritual power in my body will gradually increase. With the support of stronger spiritual power, the difficulty of refining the torso will be reduced. Okay, we will listen to junior brother's arrangement." Next, the two of them spent a day and a night to adjust their spiritual power to the highest state and began refining. They sat facing each other. Lu Kuan raised his right hand and a purple flame appeared on it, calcining his palm. Even though he was burning himself, Lu Kuan's expression did not change. He calmly said, "Senior brother, in a single palm, there are a total of 27 bones. They are 8 wrist bones, 5 metacarpal bones, and 14 phalanges. These bones are extremely delicate, and the refining process is not easy. Senior brother, use the fire of mana. We will first soften the bones of the palm." Qin Yushu subconsciously swallowed his saliva. Lu Kuan was calmly discussing with him how to burn his own palm. It was a bit strange. Whoosh! A green flame quickly appeared under Lu Kuan's right palm. It resonated with the purple fire of mana and burned together. The muscles of Lu Kuan's palm were not weak in defense, but they were much weaker than the bones. Very quickly, they were burned by the 2 fires of completion stage and gradually turned into ashes, revealing the shining purple palm bones. "Senior brother, from the outside to the inside, let's start with the 14 phalanges." The green and purple flames swayed and shrunk to half their original size, falling under the 5 fingers. At this moment, sweat appeared on Lu Kuan's face, and his facial muscles began to twitch. The 10 fingers are connected to the heart, and the nerves on the bones of the fingers are very sensitive. Lu Kuan, as a body cultivator, has trained these nerves to the extreme. The pain he endured was naturally many times more than a normal person. After several hours of calcining by the fire of mana, the bones of the fingers gradually softened. "Senior martial brother, it's about time. Let's carve these 14-finger bones together and activate the soul-sensing art's unity of consciousness ability." Lu Kuan endured the pain from his burning fingers and transmitted his voice to Huang Xiaolong. "Okay." Then, the 2 mid-core formation stage consciousnesses soared into the sky and circled around each other. The aura of the consciousnesses continued to rise until it reached the great circle of the core formation stage. After the spell was successfully cast, Qin Yushu's face paled. After the 2 consciousnesses merged, he could faintly feel the pain Lu Kuan was enduring. Just sensing a little was enough to make him feel unbearable. The 2 consciousnesses merged, and their thoughts crossed each other's minds in an instant. Qin Yushu's heart trembled, and he immediately calmed his mind. A bottle of blood marrow powder slowly floated up, sprinkling a dark red powder. Chapter 692. The reason why magic treasure materials needed to be of good quality was because they needed to be able to withstand the magic treasure's basic formation. Only by being able to withstand the carving of the basic formation could the magic treasure be successfully turned into a magic treasure. Many years ago, when Lu Kuan and the others were refining pseudo-magic treasures, their greatest difficulty was finding materials that could withstand the formation of pseudo-magic treasures. Today, Lu Kuan's bones could withstand the attack of a core formation cultivator's magic treasure. Naturally, the quality of the materials was not a problem. The blood marrow powder was divided into 14 portions under the effect of their fused core formation late-stage spiritual sense, and was injected into the 14 finger bones. At this moment, Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu's faces suddenly paled. We've overestimated ourselves. 14 finger bones are equivalent to 14 magic treasures. Our core formation late-stage spiritual sense is far from enough. We can only start from scratch. Feeling the limits of their core formation late-stage spiritual sense, the two of them decided to play it safe. They wrapped the blood marrow powder and injected it into the outermost distal finger bones of the 5 fingers. At the same time, they carved 5 miniature formations. These 5 distal finger bones were the bones under the fingernails. They were the most concentrated location of nerves and were the most sensitive of the finger bone. As soon as the two of them started carving, they immediately broke out in cold sweat and their bodies trembled, as if they were enduring great pain. The 5 distal phalanges were first softened by the 2 arcane true fires, and now that the formation was engraved on them, Lu Kuan felt a heart-piercing pain, as if 10,000 needles were piercing through his fingers. At the same time, Qin Yushu, who was fused with his spiritual sense, also felt traces of unbearable pain. Fortunately, their minds were connected. Qin Yushu only felt a little bit and was able to endure it. Because the two of them were affected by the pain, the carving of the basic formation of the 5 distal finger bones was very slow. It was like a child starting to hold a brush or an infant starting to walk. Even so, the 5 miniature magic arrays were still formed steadily, one step at a time. Moreover, as time passed, the formation speed gradually increased. Obviously, Qin Yushu had adapted to the pain and his mind was stabilizing. While the two of them were carving, the 2 mana fires under the purple palm bones gradually became smaller. The power of the fires decreased moderately. As the carving speed changed, the intensity of the mana fires also needed to be synchronized. After a full 3 days, the miniature formations of the 5 distal finger bones finally reached the final carving. Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu's fused spiritual sense had consumed half of it. Although the 5 fingernail-sized bones, the difficulty of carving the formation were no less than carving 5 ordinary magic treasures at once. Furthermore, because the two of them were also affected by the bone-piercing pain, the difficulty was even higher. Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu's expressions relaxed after they finished drawing the last line of the formation with their consciousness wrapped in some blood marrow powder. It was obvious that the 3 days and 3 nights of drawing had consumed a lot of their energy. The moment the carving was completed, the surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth suddenly vibrated slightly. It turned into small streams of air and sank into the 5 distal finger bones. After the basic formation of this right hand's distal phalanx magic treasure was formed, it actually began to spontaneously absorb the surrounding spiritual energy. Furthermore, in Lu Kuan's perception, the mana capacity of the 5 distal phalanx was slowly increasing. I didn't expect this to happen as soon as the miniature formation of the magic treasure was formed. It seems that my mana will become more and more vigorous in the future. Lu Kuan was first delighted, but then his expression changed. Not good. Senior apprentice brother, let's hurry and continue carving the strengthening formation. As the 5 distal finger bones took shape, the material of the magic treasure itself also changed. Qin Yushu's nerves, which had just relaxed, tensed up again. He looked at Lu Kuan's finger bones in front of him. The 5 finger bones, which were originally somewhat softened, actually started to recover under the same mana fire. Qin Yushu gritted his teeth and transmitted, "Junior apprentice brother, increase the intensity of the mana fire. Half of my spiritual energy has been consumed. But for a simple formation like the strengthening formation, it's enough." As soon as he finished speaking, the color of the flames under the 5 fingers started to deepen, preventing the 5 distal finger bones from recovering. At the same time, Lu Kuan flipped his right palm. His palm was originally facing down, but now it was facing up. In order to reduce the difficulty of carving, the strengthening formation was carved in the other direction, which was the opposite side of the fingernail. As the most commonly used strengthening formation of conventional magic treasures, the strengthening formation was much easier to carve compared to other formations. But even so, Lu Kuan and company still did not have it easy. At this time, although the difficulty of carving the formation had decreased and Qin Yushu had also adapted to the bursts of piercing pain, Lu Kuan's 5 finger bones had become more and more solid with the infusion of spiritual energy. Not only did they have to slowly increase the intensity of the mana fire, the intensity of the carving also had to be adjusted accordingly. Fortunately, the 2 of them had done some research on the forging of spiritual magic treasures and were able to carve the spiritual patterns of spiritual magic treasures. Only then could they barely keep up with the changes. Another day and night passed. The strengthening formation on the 5 distal finger bones had also been successfully carved. Although they had not been nourished with mana for too long, their degree of firmness was already worlds apart from before. At this moment, if Lu Kuan and company were to carve another formation, they would not have enough energy to spare. The 2 of them slowly exhaled and retracted their mana fire. Qin Yushu wiped the sweat from his face and said with a bitter smile, "Junior apprentice brother, senior apprentice brother has to admire you. You can still bear this kind of pain as if nothing had happened and can still carve the formation stably." Lu Kuan looked at his right hand's fingernail, which had slightly faded purple, and also wiped the sweat from his forehead. "Senior apprentice brother, the nerves of the distal finger bones are extremely sensitive. The pain later on will be reduced by a lot. These are only 5 bones, there are still 201 bones left. Let's recover the power of our spiritual sense first, and then carve the middle finger bones." Qin Yushu looked at Lu Kuan's right hand, nodded and closed his eyes to recover. Although the first 5 distal finger bones took 4 days and 4 nights, the 2 of them did not use much mana. It was just that the power of their spiritual sense was close to the bottom. From the perspective of the distal finger bones, the 2 of them could not carve the following bones with their combined spiritual sense at the late core formation stage. The time spent would probably be countless times longer than carving a normal magic treasure. After a day, the 2 of them recovered their spiritual sense to the peak. They followed the previous routine and started to refine the palm bones one by one. During the recovery of their spiritual sense, Lu Kuan restrained his own qi, blood, and mana so that his right hand remained in its skeletal state. The distal finger bones had already become magic treasures, but the other bones had not. Therefore, it was still relatively easy to refine them with the mana fire. There were 4 middle phalanx bones. The thumb did not have a middle phalanx, which was much larger than the previous distal phalanx bones. Moreover, the pain it produced was greatly reduced, so it was actually easier for Lu Kuan and Wang Jing to carve. Just like that, 3 days later, the engraving of the 4 middle phalanges was completed. Just like before, after the basic spirit design of the magic treasure was completed, the phalanges entered the level of magic treasures. The amount of spiritual power they could hold increased, and the material also changed. During this process, Lu Kuan and Lu Ming engraved a strengthening spirit design. Next, they carved the 5 proximal finger bones, followed by the 5 metacarpal bones, and finally 2 rows of 8 wrist bones. It took a total of 15 days for the 2 of them to finish refining Lu Kuan's right metacarpal bones, 27 bones. After the entire metacarpal bones were refined, the purple color became much fainter. There were many more complex formation patterns on the surface. Spiritual light flowed, making it look like a treasure. With the experience of the metacarpal bones, Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu continued to refine the metacarpal bones from the right hand to the left hand, then to the foot bones below, then to the limbs, the torso bones, and so on. Chapter 693. Xiao Jin, did Master really come back? Outside the Eight-Spirit Valley, the blue-robed Zhao Qingtian looked at Xiao Jin with a look of disbelief. Xiao Jin gestured as he excitedly roared. At this time, a full year had passed since Lu Kuan had returned to Monster Spirit Island. This time, he was refining a bone magic tool, which was no different from cultivating a cultivation method. In order to prevent the little monkey from disturbing him, Lu Kuan had kicked it out. The little monkey was outside, so it could inform others that Lu Kuan had gone into seclusion. But after a year, only Zhao Qingtian had ended his seclusion. Lu Xiao was still in the cave. Zhu Xiaofeng and Xiao Hongfei also hadn't returned. Zhao Qingtian had ended his seclusion because the first-generation disciples were dealing with the body-refining pavilion. They could only take turns returning to the island to cultivate. Next time, it would be Sher Chao's turn to cultivate. Zhao Qingtian listened to Xiao Jin's ramblings for a long time. He didn't understand, but he sighed and said, "Elder senior apprentice brother, what you said is a bit complicated. I don't really understand." Then he shook his head and looked at the cave in front of him, lost in thought. He had just come out of seclusion not long ago and had been bitterly refining his internal organs on Monster Spirit Island. Although his cultivation had made some progress, he was still far from reaching the great perfection boundary. Now he knew that his master had spoken of how difficult it was to cultivate in the viscera forging stage. If he didn't have any supplementary methods, then the time he had to bitterly cultivate was just too long. Fortunately, they had discovered the black-striped scorpion poison, a poison that had a tempering effect on the internal organs. In addition to the silver silkworm poison, it could speed up the tempering of the internal organs. This kind of poison rarely appeared on the market. But some time ago, Zhao Qingtian had heard from Huang Xiaoyun that there were traces of black-striped scorpions in the northern desolate province. After leaving the island, he would go with Huang Xiaoyun to the northern desolate province to see if they could find black-striped scorpions. It would be best if they could capture one alive. Just as Zhao Qingtian was thinking about what to do next, a muffled thunder flashed in the sky above Eight-Spirit Valley. Zhao Qingtian couldn't help but look up. Strange, Demon Spirit Island is surrounded by an ancient restriction and has its own space. Even the clouds and rain can only be formed by water magic. Where did the thunder come from? What's wrong with the spiritual qi here? The dense spiritual qi turned into white clouds, spiraling down from the sky and entering the cave abode in front of Zhao Qingtian and Xiao Jin. Following that, a frightening pressure surged towards him, causing Zhao Qingtian's face to turn pale. His mana, which was almost at the peak of the foundation establishment stage, spread out in all directions. His blood and qi also surged, and only then was he able to resist the pressure. Xiao Jin, who was beside him, took 2 steps back. His monkey face was full of surprise as he waved his arms and shouted excitedly. Zhao Qingtian could understand this sentence. He was stunned and said blankly, "Big senior brother, you're saying that master's cultivation has broken through again?" At this time, the restriction of another cave abode in Eight-Spirit Valley opened. A round-faced, short-haired man with a well-proportioned body walked out. It was Lu Xiao, who was cultivating in seclusion. He clearly felt the change in the spiritual chi on the island. With a look of surprise, he scanned with his divine sense and found Xiao Jin and Zhao Qingtian. He turned into a ray of light and landed beside them. He asked, "Qingtian, isn't this your master's cave abode? What happened?" Zhao Qingtian came back to his senses and said excitedly, "Martial Uncle Lu, it's Master." Xiao Jin said that Master returned to Demon Spirit Island a year ago. This shocking phenomenon is because Master's cultivation has broken through. Lu Zhao's face was full of disbelief. How long has it been since Junior Brother entered the core formation stage? He broke through again so quickly. Also, didn't he go to the Qi Kingdom's blood refining sect to find a way to solve the hidden dangers in his body? Zhao Qingtian's tone was still a little excited. "I'm not sure about this, but Xiao Jin and Master's blood are connected. If he said that Master's cultivation has broken through, then it must be true." Lu Xiao was about to say something when the restriction of the cave abode in front of them opened. Qin Yushu walked out with a tired face. He looked at the two people and the monkey outside and said weakly, "Senior Brother Lu, this phenomenon is caused by this phenomenon." "Senior Brother Lu, such a vision is indeed produced by Junior Brother. After a year of hard work, his guess has finally succeeded. Now he should have entered the so-called middle stage of bone treasure, but now he needs time to recover his physical body. In a few days, Junior Brother will be able to come out and meet us." Then Qin Yushu waved his hand and said, "You can wait for Junior Brother to come out by himself. This year, my mind has been exhausted. I'll go back and sleep for a few days. If you want to ask, wait a few days." After saying this, Qin Yushu turned into a green light and flew back to his cave abode. This year of non-stop refining had almost exhausted him. At this time, his only thought was to sleep for 3 days and 3 nights to relieve the exhaustion on his mind. Lu Xiao and the others looked at the cave abode in front of them that was closed again. They could only suppress the curiosity in their hearts and wait quietly. At this time, in Lu Kuan's cave abode, a light purple human-shaped skeleton was suspended in midair in the secret room. In addition to the skeleton, the torso was a thick layer of purple shield. It was as if there was a substantial amount of spiritual energy entering it. The head of the skeleton, the eyes, nose, mouth, and ears, were all emitting a purple light. Clearly, the organs in the skull were all protected inside. Further down the torso, there was also a layer of purple light that hid the organs behind it. Below the torso were the hip bones and leg bones. The hip bones, which were also the pelvis, were also surrounded by a layer of purple light. As for the lower part between the 2 leg bones, there was nothing. This human-shaped skeleton was none other than Lu Kuan, who had spent a year refining the 206 bones in his body into magical equipment. All the bones in his body were covered in a halo of light. Many of the bones were engraved with formation patterns. With these 200 or so bone magic treasures gathered together, even if they were ordinary magic treasures that only had hard formations, the pressure gathered together would be incomparably frightening. The rich spiritual energy in Demon Spirit Island crazily poured into Lu Kuan's light purple skeleton magic treasure. The magic power in the bones gradually increased. At the same time, Lu Kuan's bones faintly emitted a roaring sound. It was like a huge wave hitting the shore or a boulder. The roiling blood in his body was too rich, forming a phenomenon similar to the waves of a river. As the roaring sound rose and fell, countless white fascia appeared on the light purple bones. This was the connection between the muscles and bones. Clearly, Lu Kuan's body was recovering under his control. Flesh grew from white bones. As the spiritual energy and muscles appeared, the illusion of a huge ape slowly appeared outside Lu Kuan's skeleton. Its muscles were strong, and its arms were as thick as its legs. It was the appearance of a long-armed ape monkey. When it first appeared, the illusion of a long-armed ape monkey had black hair. However, as the spiritual energy of heaven and earth entered Lu Kuan's body and bones, the illusion's hair gradually faded and soon became golden. It became a golden long-armed ape monkey. Chapter 694. Lu Kuan didn't know that an illusion of the long-armed ape monkey had appeared outside his body. This illusion couldn't be detected with his divine sense. He was only focused on feeling the changes in his body during this year. After a year, although he had successfully refined 206 bone artifacts, Lu Kuan still had lingering fears about the dangers he faced in the process. The refinement of the 4 limbs was easy because there were only bones and muscles on the 4 limbs. If the muscles were burned, they could be regenerated. At most, he would have to endure some pain. However, the torso and skull were very dangerous. The torso contained the heart and other important organs. If it was destroyed, the body would probably die. Lu Kuan didn't think that the organs could be regenerated like the muscles. Therefore, when he was refining the ribs, sternum, spine, and other bones of the torso, he exerted the power of the defensive thunder shield to the maximum to protect the organs inside and resist the burning of the Dharma power true fire. At the same time, other than enduring the pain of the bones melting, he also had to merge with Qin Yushu's divine sense to carve the formation. Fortunately, the spirit energy on Demon Spirit Island was abundant. Lu Kuan's 4 limbs had a large increase in magic power, so he was barely able to hold on. Behind the torso was the hip bone, which was also the refinement of the pelvis. This was the part that made Lu Kuan's heart beat faster. This was the organ that symbolized a man. He used his muscles to retract it into the pelvis, and then used the defensive lightning shield to protect it. If Lu Kuan's defensive lightning shield couldn't withstand the refinement of the hip bone, this precious organ would probably turn into ashes. Fortunately, the hip bone was refined after the torso bone. With the torso bone's increased magic power, the defensive lightning shield was able to hold on until the end. However, Lu Kuan's condition wasn't good when he was carving the formation and almost made a mistake. Apart from the torso and hip bone, the only thing left was the skull. Lu Kuan attached great importance to the skull. As long as the skull was refined, it would be the strongest defense for his brain when combined with the magic treasure's sturdy formation. No matter what kind of immortal cultivator was, the sea of consciousness and the divine soul lived in the brain. Therefore, when immortal cultivators fought to kill each other, the first target to attack was the head. After Lu Kuan entered the bone treasure stage, his skulls with astonishing defensive power had already saved his life. Now, if he were to refine it into a magic weapon, even a core formation stage cultivator would not be able to kill him. The skull was relatively strong, but the brain inside was too fragile. Out of caution, Lu Kuan placed it at the end of the refinement process. The 23 skulls were refined separately, and the defensive thunder barrier only needed to protect one area. Even so, Skull still spent close to 2 months before he finally succeeded. After all the bones in his body were formed, the mana within Lu Kuan's bones seemed to come alive. A single bone magic treasure was a pool of stagnant water, but after it was formed, it became a virtuous river. The lightning attribute mana spontaneously circulated within all the bone magic treasures, and the spiritual energy between heaven and earth seemed to be attracted by the 200+ bone magic treasures, converging towards them. Therefore, Lu Kuan borrowed this turbulent energy and began to rapidly regenerate the muscles outside his body. At the same time, he sensed the changes in his bones. Now, the 206 bones had become the simplest magic treasures, with only a sturdy formation. These 100+ bones were equivalent to the inlaid magic treasures of the Yang clan. Different from a complete set of magic treasures, the inlaid magic treasures could be activated by many pieces at the same time. For example, Qin Yushu's 5-feathered Qiankuan saber, the 5 flying daggers had inlaid points at the tip of the blade. When the 5 flying daggers were combined together, they became a magic fan. Activating this magic fan was no different from activating a magic treasure, but the power was stronger than a single magic treasure. Of course, the mana consumption was also increased. In other words, Lu Kuan's 200-plus bone magic treasures could be activated together. For example, when he punched out with his right fist, it was equivalent to the 27 bone magic treasures in his palm. The bone magic treasures in his forearm and upper arm attacked together. It seemed to be extremely terrifying. But Lu Kuan's entire body of bone magic treasures only had a sturdy formation engraved on them. When he used his mana to activate them, it only increased the toughness of the magic treasures to the extreme. It did not have any attack power. But what Lu Kuan wanted was the toughness of the bones. The true strength of a body cultivator should rely on the strength of the physical body. Strength can break all spells. No matter what kind of strange and powerful spells, or all kinds of strange magic treasures attack, a body cultivator can break through it with strength. After Lu Kuan entered the bone treasure stage, even if he did not activate the power of the connecting arms, his strength had reached 200,000 kilograms. But he still had to rely on the psychic magic treasures to fight. In order to unleash a huge amount of strength, he had to endure the backlash of the corresponding strength. Only by relying on magic treasure-level weapons could he unleash an attack of the corresponding strength without harming his own body. Now that all of Lu Kuan's bones had become magic treasures, the strength of the materials had increased greatly. And when he activated his mana, these magic treasures would become even harder. In this way, he could use his fists and feet, bones and joints to fight against the magic treasures of cultivators and unleash a terrifying strength attack. He would not be afraid of the damage caused by the backlash of the huge strength. The middle stage of the bone treasure stage was the beginning stage of the body cultivator's physical body to the extreme. Lu Kuan's mind was constantly thinking. He immediately thought of the various fighting methods that were derived after the bones became treasures. For a moment, his blood surged. Following the absorption of spiritual energy, Lu Kuan's muscles and skin gradually formed. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth also slowed down. The phantom of the giant golden ape also gradually disappeared. At the same time, the mana in Lu Kuan's bones stabilized and emitted a turbulent thunder attribute aura. In his perception, it had completely reached the level of the middle stage of the core formation stage. One must know that before refining the bone treasure, the mana in Lu Kuan's body had not reached the peak of the early stage of the core formation stage. It was still at the level of the early stage of the core formation stage. It only became purer after the confrontation with the blood demon's power. Now, after the 206 bone treasures were refined, his mana immediately rose from the early stage of the core formation stage to the middle stage of the core formation stage. It could be seen that the refining of the bone treasure brought about a huge transformation. Ordinary early-stage core formation stage cultivators would have to spend a lot of time just to cultivate their mana to the peak of the early stage. After another day and night, Lu Kuan's physical body had completely recovered. The organ that he had retracted into his pelvis was also released by him. His skin was white with a hint of red, and there was a faint layer of treasure light from his skin. After his physical body recovered, Lu Kuan slowly landed on the ground. He clenched his fist and said in a strange tone, "Hey, the new muscles and skin strength have increased again." After thinking for a while, he directly raised his right fist and slammed it into the ground. There was no defensive thunder shield on his fist. Lu Kuan only circulated the bone mana in his fist, making the bones of his fist incomparably hard. Boom! A huge explosion sounded out. The ground and the restrictions on it were directly blasted apart by this punch. A crack even appeared on the ground. The inside of the cave trembled. The internal restrictions were damaged, and a lot of gravel fell down. Lu Kuan stared blankly at his fist that did not even break his skin. He muttered, "At the middle stage of the bone treasure realm, my strength has actually increased to 300,000 gene. It's almost equivalent to the strength of the previous arm. Moreover, the defensive power of my muscles and skin has also increased by a lot." That's right, muscles are reborn from the surface of the bones. The bones have undergone a fundamental change. From a material to a magic treasure, then the derived fascia nodes have also undergone a transformation. From there, they grow stronger muscles and skin. Lu Kuan recalled the scene of flesh growing on white bones and somewhat understood the reason. The muscles that normally exert force are also called skeletal muscles. They are all existences that are attached to the bones. At the bone treasure realm, as the bones become stronger, they will also gradually become stronger. Lu Kuan's expression suddenly became enlightened. In that case, the middle stage of the bone treasure realm is the same as the blood condensation realm. It is the most important stage of the current realm. Only by entering the middle stage of the bone treasure realm and refining 206 bone magic treasures can one be considered to be truly powerful. Then Lu Kuan looked at his body and slowly floated up. His eyes flashed with a strange light as he said, "When a core formation stage cultivator flies, they rely on their own vigorous mana. If they want to accelerate, they have to connect with the treasure light of their magic treasures." Chapter 695. Outside of Lu Kuan's cave, Lu Xiao and Zhao Qingtian were confused. They first felt a huge vibration coming from the cave in front of them, as if it was under a strong attack. But just as they were wondering what was going on inside, a bolt of purple lightning shot out from the cave. The speed of this bolt of lightning was frightening. From Zhao Qingtian's perspective, his first reaction was that it was some kind of magic treasure or spell. But Lu Xiao was of the core formation stage after all. His spiritual sense detected that this bolt of lightning was a ray of light and there was a shadow inside it. Just as they were in a daze, the bolt of purple lightning disappeared from their vision and left the Eight-Spirit Valley. Zhao Qingtian stuttered, "Uncle, what kind of spell was that? Was it a new attack that Master learned?" Lu Zhao's face was full of shock. He said hesitantly, "It seems to be your Master's ray of light." "A ray of light? Uncle, is the speed of a core formation stage cultivator this terrifying?" Zhao Qingtian asked in a daze. Lu Xiao smiled bitterly, "That kind of speed is as fast as lightning. It's about the same as the attack speed of a magic treasure. It's not something a core formation stage cultivator can do. I'm afraid that only a nascent soul stage cultivator can do that." Zhao Qingtian's mouth was slightly open as he looked in the direction that the ray of light disappeared. To him, the nascent soul stage was still too far away. He didn't think that his master's ray of light had reached this level. Doesn't that mean that his master can escape from a nascent soul stage cultivator? Lu Xiao had the same thought. Core formation stage cultivators have no way of fighting back against nascent soul stage cultivators. On one hand, it's because of the power of nascent soul stage cultivators, and on the other hand, it's also because of the terrifying speed of these old monsters. Even if a core formation stage cultivator burns his golden core and overdrafts his mana, his speed can't be compared to a nascent soul stage cultivator. The ray of light that Lu Kuan displayed just now has reached the level of nascent soul stage. Not only does this mean that he has the ability to escape from a nascent soul stage cultivator, but with this kind of speed, almost all core formation stage cultivators would find it difficult to escape from Lu Kuan's hands. Creak creak. The little monkey didn't think too much about it. As long as Lu Kuan's cultivation was improving, it was very happy. At the same time, it also stimulated its fighting spirit. It was determined to cultivate with all its strength in the next few years and strive to reach the completion stage of body tempering as soon as possible. Just as the two men and the monkey were pondering, the lightning-like escape light shot back from outside. It circled around the 8-spirit valley, and its speed began to decrease. At this time, Lu Xiao could see the figure in the escape light. It was Lu Kuan. However, his escape light did not stop. Instead, it flew in all kinds of strange routes. First, it was wavy, then it was intersecting, and then it was turning in small circles. Because of the changes in direction, its speed was much slower. However, as time passed, Lu Kuan seemed to have discovered some kind of technique. He let out a carefree laugh in excitement, and the speed of his flight increased rapidly. In the eyes of the two men and the monkey below, there seemed to be countless flashes of lightning in the air of the 8-spirit valley, weaving some kind of picture. Even with Lu Xiao's divine sense, it was somewhat difficult to follow. After about the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the streak of light stopped. With a flash, it landed in front of Lu Xiao and the others as if it was light. "Senior brother Lu, Qing Tian, you're out?" Lu Kuan allowed the little monkey to climb on his body. The excitement on his face had not yet faded. At this time, the Fa Li in his body was still surging. Lu Xiao immediately felt the Fa Li of the intermediate stage of core formation. He couldn't help but reveal a look of emotion. Junior brother's previous breakthrough affected the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Naturally, I felt it. I didn't expect that in less than 30 years, Junior brother would enter the next level. Your talent is really amazing. And once Junior brother entered the new level, his speed actually increased to such a level. In addition to the strength that Junior brother showed in the early stage of Bone Treasure, I'm afraid that there are few opponents in the core formation stage. Even nascent soul stage cultivators may not be able to take Junior brother down. Lu Kuan smiled and said, "The bones in Junior brother's body have been refined into a magic treasure with Senior brother Qin in this year. Only then did Junior brother enter the intermediate stage of Bone Treasure. Senior brother should know that magic treasures have an extremely fast speed under the effect of the basic formation. Since Junior brother's bones have become a magic treasure, his speed naturally increased to a terrifying level." He said with some regret, "It's a pity that flying at full speed consumes a lot of Fa Li. If you really meet a nascent soul stage cultivator, although you can escape in a short time, after a long time, your speed will definitely decrease greatly because of the Fa Li." Lu Xiao was stunned. His reaction was the same as Qin Yushu's. He was even more incredulous than Qin Yushu. The junior brother in front of him, who specialized in cultivating the physical body, had actually refined all the bones in his body into a magic treasure. Standing in front of him was a human-shaped magic treasure. No wonder his speed was so terrifying. As for Lu Kuan, who looked no different from an ordinary person, how did he and Qin Yushu refine the bones into a magic treasure? Just thinking about it made Lu Xiao's hair stand on end. The bones in his body were faintly itchy, and he couldn't help but shiver. Lu Xiao coughed lightly and said, "Junior brother has successfully broken through. The hidden dangers in your body should have been solved. Are you still going back to the blood refining sect?" Lu Kuan nodded and said, "I still have to go to the blood refining sect. I was able to break through to the intermediate stage of Bone Treasure so quickly because of the blood refining sect's cultivation method. But after the breakthrough, the original cultivation method content is not very useful. I still have to stay in the blood refining sect to see if I can get the next level of cultivation method." Lu Kuan sighed and said, "Although my cultivation base has broken through to the intermediate stage, Junior brother still has no clue about the nascent soul stage." Lu Xiao's understanding of body cultivation methods was not as deep as Qin Yushu's. At this time, he could only comfort him with a few words. Junior brother also said the same thing about the core formation stage when you were in the foundation establishment stage. I think that as your cultivation base increases, there will naturally be signs. More importantly, Junior brother is now only 100 years old. Your lifespan is much more than the foundation establishment stage. Senior brother is right. I was too anxious. Lu Kuan heard Lu Zhao's words and his expression relaxed. Although he had no idea how to break through to the nascent soul stage, he still had a general direction of the late stage of bone treasure. Maybe when he reached the late stage of bone treasure, he would have some enlightenment. Moreover, he had never seen a nascent soul stage cultivation method before. He also didn't have much contact with nascent soul stage cultivators. He didn't understand the essential difference between the nascent soul stage and the core formation stage. Naturally, he had no clue. If he read some nascent soul stage cultivation method or fought with nascent soul stage cultivators, he might have some new inspiration. Thinking of this, Lu Kuan put the doubts of how to break through to the nascent soul stage in the bottom of his heart. Now, what he needed to do was to stabilize his cultivation base and study the next stage of the bone treasure stage. Junior brother, you just broke through. First, stabilize your cultivation base. When senior brother Qin has a good rest, we will have a good drink and have a good chat, Lu Xiao said with a smile. Now that Lu Kuan's cultivation base was in front, his combat strength was probably even more amazing. They naturally had to celebrate. With Lu Kuan's combat strength, if he really entered the nascent soul stage, their Yeyang clan's revenge would be completely possible. Seeing Lu Kuan nod, Lu Xiao turned into a ray of light and shot towards his cave residence. Lu Kuan stood in place for a while and said to the little monkey on his shoulder, Xiao Jin, go and call Dahe to my cave residence. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.